Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Oh. Ooh, yeah. Lately I've been feeling things ain't right with you. Like just to make my point, I gotta fight with you. Maybe you been creeping with your side nigga. Maybe my side bitch posted my picture. Tell me what's the vibe with you? I bought a 6-speed 4 and whipped a ride with you. So are you riding with me? Is it lying to you if you're lying with me? I know it's hella tricky. Whoa. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, I got a lot of bitches waiting to take your place if you ever give it up. Oh. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, when there's a lot of niggas swimming in your DMs and you know they tryna fuck. I feel like I'm addicted to this toxic shit and I need my fix. Got some jet fuel in the crib and Moscato to get you lit. You love languages, acts of service, plus you love them hella gifts. That's why every time that I'm splurging, I know that pussy drips. Look, I gave you the path, I gave you the vision, I gave you the math. Look, I gave you that bag and showed you things you didn't have and might have never. Cause it's not that I was thinking in the short, I was thinking forever. It's not like you ain't know that you were good, I just knew you were better. Better than everything you're portraying. We both want the same things, but we push away and I hate it. And I can't believe the shit that flies out your mouth when you say it. You hurt me, I hurt you right back. This could get dangerous, plus I heard about that nigga. You know who's trying to take my place? The one you posted on your story, but didn't post up on your page. Because stories are temporary. 24, then it's gonna change. And in the words of my man Aubrey, I swear nothing was the same since I seen it. My side bitch don't cook or clean, but with that brain, she a genius. She get this dick all the time, but she still gonna act like she need it. I hope whenever you hear this, you feel this and you steam it. I turn your man to an op with this mop shit, he'll be the cleanest. It's obvious we should say goodbye shit, but we're never leaving. Cause whenever I'm deep inside, should we both get to dreaming? Cause baby, with this D, I stroke your problems away. Could give a fuck what they say. Whoa. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, I got a lot of bitches waiting to take your place if you ever give it up. Oh. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, when there's a lot of niggas swimming in your DMs and you know they tryna fuck. Oh. So hard to breathe.
He's home.
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Ooh, yeah. Lately I've been feeling things ain't right with you. Like just to make my point, I gotta fight with you. Maybe you been creeping with your side nigga. Maybe my side bitch posted my picture. Tell me what's the vibe with you? I bought a 6-speed 4 and whipped a ride with you. So are you riding with me? Is it lying to you if you're lying with me? I know it's hella tricky. Whoa. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, I got a lot of bitches waiting to take your place if you ever give it up. Oh. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, when there's a lot of niggas swimming in your DMs and you know they tryna fuck. I feel like I'm addicted to this toxic shit and I need my fix. Got some jet fuel in the crib and Moscato to get you lit. You love languages, acts of service, plus you love them hella gifts. That's why every time that I'm splurging, I know that pussy drips. Look, I gave you the path, I gave you the vision, I gave you the math. Look, I gave you that bag and showed you things you didn't have and might have never. Cause it's not that I was thinking in the short, I was thinking forever. It's not like you ain't know that you were good, I just knew you were better. Better than everything you're portraying. We both want the same things, but we push away and I hate it. And I can't believe the shit that flies out your mouth when you say it. You hurt me, I hurt you right back. This could get dangerous, plus I heard about that nigga. You know who's trying to take my place? The one you posted on your story, but didn't post up on your page. Because stories are temporary. 24, then it's gonna change. And in the words of my man Aubrey, I swear nothing was the same since I seen it. My side bitch don't cook or clean, but with that brain, she a genius. She get this dick all the time, but she still gonna act like she need it. I hope whenever you hear this, you feel this and you steam it. I turn your man to an op with this mop shit, he'll be the cleanest. It's obvious we should say goodbye shit, but we're never leaving. Cause whenever I'm deep inside, should we both get to dreaming? Cause baby, with this D, I stroke your problems away. Could give a fuck what they say. Whoa. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, I got a lot of bitches waiting to take your place if you ever give it up. Oh. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, when there's a lot of niggas swimming in your DMs and you know they trying to fuck. Oh. So hard to breathe, they said that we call love. Ain't nothing worse than the hurt you receive from love. When you get hurt by the one you're living for, pain to make you wanna love no more. I just can't be loving you no more. I love you more than I love myself.
Yeah.
Let's get it. That
was G.
Oh. I'll pause it right there. That was my boy Oza.
Oh yeah. That was G, the producer, Tell Me. With some production credits, man. JT, right?
That's what I do, man. I keep trying to tell y'all. We are a multimedia conglomerate. But for some reason, y'all just don't want to listen when I keep telling y'all. So I'm about to start screaming like Kanye up in this motherfucker. Because for some reason, y'all listen to him more than y'all listen to us. So do I gotta start screaming in this motherfucker? We gotta realize the shit that we do here. I'm trying to keep my cool because we got a guest coming on later.
Yeah. But you know what? For the past couple of weeks, we've been getting great news after great news after great fucking news.
Yeah, man. Shout out to all the people who've been rocking with us.
Yeah.
Who've been rocking with us, giving us opportunities, telling us about opportunities. You know, all those things matter.
Mm-hmm.
All those things help push the podcast forward, help push the culture forward, and we are going to continue to grow.
Do you feel like that's crooked?
Yes. Yes, I do.
It's bothering me.
I was hoping that it wasn't crooked enough to for everybody to see it.
I can see that shit.
Yeah, that's bad then. No. But yeah, so shout out to G, the producer, for that record, Tell Me. Justin and I worked together to shoot the video. So yeah, it's good. To shoot the video, which is, that's dope because now we have a whole nother lane that we can go down. So, we have a bunch of artists that we mess with. So if you're an artist and you're looking for some good music videos, let us know. We have the creativity, we have the equipment, and now we're learning how to edit. So once that editing comes down, the price will go up.
Thanks for you, the producer, man, for giving us that opportunity to even go up there. He called me on a random day. He's like, yo, you want to come up? I'm like, yeah. Called JT. Like, yeah, you want to go? He was like, yeah, let's go. Try to learn something new. Appreciate him for allowing us to even try that shit.
That was some nice footage.
Yeah, man. And then thank you for pushing me to go out there. Because at first I was reluctant and I was like, I got to work. He's like, nah, this is a good opportunity to come learn something. You've been saying you want to do music videos. So, I needed to hear that in order to, fixate my mind because, when you're going through the flows of work, you're thinking that that's your main obligation, whereas you never know when an opportunity is going to knock on your door. And sometimes opportunity does knock and we never talk about the times where we decide not to answer.
Yeah, the crazy thing is too about that is we did that in a couple of hours. It came out very good. And it was not saying it was rushed, but he had his date set in mind. But guarantee if we had a little bit more days and stuff like that, we could have did something extremely bigger. So more on the way for us because we are going to be working with a lot more people in the near future with podcasts, hopefully with music videos. But there are podcasts that we are working with. So y'all going to see a lot more stuff. But yeah, man, that was a good video.
Absolutely. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for that. Because that was a hell of a fucking job. First time ever. His name greatest.
Happy birthday, by the way. That came out on Saturday for his birthday.
Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday, G, the producer, man. 25 years old. You're getting younger by the day, my brother. You're getting younger by the day.
What's good, Kev? You all right?
If he's 25, I'm 23.
Hey, talk about
it. I know somebody who always used to forget it.
Not even important, I guess?
Well, forget it.
Not important.
I know somebody who I'll be like, yo, how old are you today? And then he'd be like, this way. I'm like, all right, cool. So I can know. You know who I'm talking about. I just can't say it up here.
I have no idea.
Nigga, you didn't know his age for mad long.
Shout out to whoever that
Fuck
is.
you talking about?
Does anybody have an iPhone charger?
Mm.
My phone is like 2%. It's not even that deep.
What's good, Kev?
Same old shit, man. Work's been kicking my ass, but
It's because you switched back.
yeah, but
now you gotta adjust your life.
Huh?
Because you switched back, now you gotta adjust again.
Yeah, readjust my actual life again. Yeah.
Wait, what happened? You back on the graveyard?
Yeah, and after and I think it's not graveyard. It's the wake.
The what?
The what?
It's the wake. It's the wake shift. I'm saying it's like
The wake?
because graveyard is like overnight. Cemetery.
It's the wake.
Okay.
I was like, wait, what?
I squinted. I was like, what?
The what?
3 to
It's
11.
the wake. It's the time that you have the wake.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 to 11. I mean,
That's what's up.
but I like that shift though. I actually like the shift. I don't feel like my life revolves around work. So I just
You
get
don't
there.
think so?
No, I get up. I don't wake up by an alarm clock.
That's good.
Yeah, wake up by no alarm clock. I don't have to wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when on the winter nights when it's like fucking blistering cold.
And you don't really have to if you go out, you don't really have to think about going to
Oh,
work.
yeah, exactly. And not only that, it's one of those things that if I would have to go to a doctor's appointment or go to the DMV, whatever it is, it's like
Still do it.
I can still do it on my day, And if I want to go to the gym, we'll go to the gym in the morning, or if I have, focus on business, whatever it is, I can focus on my life. And then when I'm already exhausted, time to go to work now. So it's just, my life doesn't revolve around work. I get up at 11 o'clock. If I want to go out for some drinks, I can still go out and not worry about it. And still start my day without an alarm clock.
No shit. It's better than school. School, 7 in the morning. Hot breath. Coffee. The fake smile.
And not only that, when you get out of work, you don't want to do shit.
Yeah. We kind of have to.
Your life revolves around work.
No, don't say no shit like that.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Don't you ever put that curse on me. Hell no. But I'll get your point, though, in all seriousness. Yes.
Like on Sunday, I'll work the morning shift, 7 to 3, right? I get out of work, it's Sunday. It's 3 o'clock. Everybody's up by 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody really wakes up at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I get out of work, that's when people are waking up. Huh?
Should have started to happen.
Starting, yeah. I was about to say, it's just popping off.
Because things start to happen. Things start to happen around 11, 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I can still get into functions by 3.
Yeah, that's true.
So
dope.
It's a dope shift. I love my shift. And I'm off Thursday and Fridays, which basically most people are not off Thursday and Fridays. I can still do my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best shift. Can't go wrong with it.
I ain't even mad at that. Shoot, they need to change school hours since the way we talk.
When you get out, so when you're off on Saturdays and Sundays, you do grocery. You do grocery shopping on your day off, right? Lines are packed. You go to Target, buy some shit. Lines are packed on a Saturday and Sunday. Thursday and Friday,
you can do it like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and no line.
That's a good point. I used to do, when I lived by myself in Boston, I used to do all my shopping on Tuesday nights.
It's the best.
Tuesday nights, there's nobody in there, aisles are clear, no line at the cash register. But the one pet peeve I hate about going food shopping is when I go on a Saturday and there's not a cashier at every cash register.
Oh, yeah,
they be having 40 open lanes and 12 workers. BJ's, get it together.
Oh, yeah. Then you're going to BJ's?
Oh, my God, it's disgusting.
I hate to agree. I thought I liked this morning shift shit. I did just sleep and prep. Night shift, I saw the day of light, jogged, and slept like a chubby baby after all the said and done.
Who's that?
Sure, I don't know who. It's Detta.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, though. Can't see. Whoever's on Facebook, go to the YouTube page, please. JT, how was your week, man?
Really, really jam-packed week. Last week of the first quarter of school. So it is, we're already wrapping up quarter 1 tomorrow. And I am finishing our first project. So it's been really, really just a lot. Grading 100 and something papers, giving feedback to 100 and something kids. Kids ask me, why is my grade this? Why is my grade that? It's been a lot, but I'm happy that we're getting the kinks and stuff out now, so that way, quarter 2 they can be much better set up for success. I think for freshmen, when they come in that first quarter, it's like a feel out process. You're getting used to all the new rules, regulations, teachers, relationships, responsibilities. So you kind of like you screw up quarter 1, but I think quarter 2 is where you really bounce back, and I'm excited to see a lot of these kids bounce back quarter 2. But it's been a lot. I have to grade papers tonight, so it's gonna be that type of night.
Can we grade them for you?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. Nah.
Yeah.
I won't even put that stress on anybody. They don't even want that. Just stick to the wake shift.
To the wake shift.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that to you. But other than that, I started doing photography for the girls basketball team. So shout out to the girls basketball team. Let's give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause real quick. Yeah, undefeated as of right now. Shout out to the Earl Monroe girls basketball team. Shout out to the freshman boys basketball team that had their first game this week.
Oh.
They asked me to do photography for that, but I couldn't make it. And like I said, we're literally a multimedia conglomerate. So if you need photos, if you need videos, if you need a podcast, anything with doing creation other than drawing, because I don't think anybody here could draw a straight line.
Yeah, I can't.
Other than that, you could come to us. But I think that was pretty much it. Flag football, we got a flag football game too this Saturday. We had one last Saturday. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way we wanted it to.
It's girls?
No, that's boys.
Oh.
Boys, yeah, we doing boys. Pause. So yeah, we lost last week. We got a big game this week. And we just been rocking and rolling, man. It's been dope. It's been dope, this whole process.
That's good. That's good. My week was crazy. Cole been sick. But his birthday was Monday. Happy birthday.
Hey! Happy birthday. Yeah. Can't use gunshots for kids.
Yo, appreciate that. Yeah, just for the house right away. So
Hey! Another.
And
Hey,
one
man.
more, man.
What's up?
We made the basketball team too.
Hey!
So shoot, so it was a week.
But a lot of good things came out of it, though. But yeah, she definitely made the basketball team. Her first practice tomorrow, so
Okay.
it's about to be out.
Okay.
Yeah, my son, man. I hope he got to feel better because he's making me tired. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept since Monday.
Congratulations,
yeah,
man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
big. So that's a lot of good things to celebrate.
Some special guest is here too.
Oh, we here? We ready
He's
to rock
here.
and roll?
He's
Okay,
here. He's
okay.
here.
This is what the people been waiting for. They don't want to
They
hear
don't
us
about
too
our
much.
weeks.
Yeah, they don't care about our weeks. But we do it for the people. That's why we here. We here to do this for the people. All right, so without further ado, let's bring our guest on.
What up? What up?
There we go.
Peace, King. How you doing?
Can you hear us good?
I can hear y'all just good. Can y'all hear me?
We good.
Yes,
we
sir. Yes, sir.
Let me center my camera and get my fake Basquiat in the back. You know what I mean? Let me do that.
Okay.
Swag
Being
on, man. How y'all doing? How y'all doing, fellas?
We doing good. We doing good, man. We was just getting everybody ready for you today.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good, King. I'm here in LA, just having a great time watching the Bucks and Ravens game right now in the background. So we just chilling out here, man.
Who you got?
Ravens, man. Lamar Jackson.
Black quarterback. Can't go wrong with that. Hell yeah. Always bet on black.
He's the future. I mean, listen, I love Brady, and I think Brady is, he's the GOAT and what he's done. But it's time to move on to the next future, to the future. You know what I mean? I think Lamar Jackson is the future. We ain't looking too good right now, but that don't mean nothing. We'll be all right.
They down.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give him an introduction. Let everybody know who he is. So.
All right. So without further ado, this is a highly anticipated interview. We have a king on our platform who is a curator and creator in our culture, someone who has pushed the needle forward, an artist, an entrepreneur, someone whose name you need to really get familiar with. You need to go follow him on Instagram right now at C Sweet Music. CEO, it is on his hat for those who can't read. He got you. He made sure he came prepared. That's artistic work right there. That's called artistic chess. And he is definitely an expert. He has created, directed, and produced the Murda Inc. doc that is now being played on BET and BET Plus. And this is not it. He has much more art to give to the world. He is someone who has given his all to this field. We must make sure to give this man his flowers right now. We must make sure to acknowledge this man in the present right now. We don't have to wait until the journey's over. He's done way more than enough to be able to receive all the credits and accolades that he deserves. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Michael J. Payton. Make some noise.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I can't listen. That intro is enough, man. Interview over. We good. We good.
That's the intro guy. You know, like they got the dude that does the fighting and shit.
Yeah.
He's a. That's the intro guy.
My walkout, man. I need you on my walkout.
You gotta go back and record that one, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely putting that on my ringtone. Yeah, like.
Dope. All right, man. So we're gonna get started with a couple of basic questions to help the audience get to know you a little bit, and then we're gonna dive into the artistic work and everything else that you're doing. Is that cool?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, bro. So let's kick it off, man. Can you just tell us your story about Oakland, California, and your experience being on the West Coast? Because we're on the East Coast here in NYC.
Yeah, yes, sir. Shout out to NYC. I lived in New York. I went to NYU for grad school, so very familiar with the streets of New York, man. I grew up in, Oakland, California, raised in the Bay Area, grew up, for those familiar with the Bay, Oakland, lived in Richmond, California, lived all around the Bay, honestly. And really, man, that hustle and that grind that is instilled in you from an early age, man, you don't lose that no matter where you go, but having that hustle and that independent mentality fused with my love and my admiration for the East Coast. A lot of people ask me why, or what was the adjustment like working with guys from the East Coast on this Murda Inc. doc, being from the West Coast. And I'm like, it wasn't a transition for me at all, because I grew up on Nas, on Jay, on Wu-Tang, on all, like, that was my school. I studied hip hop through the lens of New York. So you mix the hustle and the creativity of the West Coast with, just the history and the culture that came out of New York. That's what makes, Michael Payton who he is, and really informed my creative lens. So yeah, man, it was a hell of a journey to get from starting off as an artist at a young age, at the age of 12, being influenced by Irv and Ja and Jay and everyone, at that time who was popping with Def Jam, inspired me to get into the business. First as an artist, then start making beats, start being a producer. Later that evolved in me becoming a video producer and video director, shooting my own videos and shit. And then that went from me doing these documentaries like I did on Irv, which ultimately landed me here in this position to do this show for BET. So, that's the condensed version of the story. But yeah, it's definitely been a hell of a journey and a long time coming. And I'm glad to be here, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I want to go, you said school, right? And I'm a teacher, so I love, when I hear someone big up, how school was their influence.
Yeah.
But my experience with school, I feel like school is a creativity killer, and it forces you to think inside of a certain box. Can you speak on how you were able to maintain your creativity at such a young age? Because I think you were homeschooled, if I'm not misunderstood.
Yeah, you did your research. Absolutely. I was.
Yes, sir.
You guys are good, man. No. Yeah, what else you know, man? Let me check my. Let me pull up my Google search. No, but you're right. I was homeschooled, and I think that really lent me to being being an independent thinker, being someone who always found a way to get my creativity off no matter what space I was in, right? Because I was homeschooled, right? So, I would do my homework, and then, I can go dive right into whatever kind of creative things I wanted to do, whether it was making music or working on whatever projects I had. That's what I did. I was kind of I was kind of a kid that stayed in the house and kind of did his own kind of creative thing. So being an independent, study or being in homeschool really gave me the capacity to really just hone in and lock in and know how to lock in on my creativity as well as doing what I had to do academically and merging the two. So when I got to college, when I got to and we'll talk about how I got to college and everything with my, scholarship from Jay and all that. But me when I got to college, I looked at it creatively. I looked at even the idea of going to college creatively. At the time, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a rapper. I was a rapper, but I wanted to. But that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, I want to start my own business. I want to make my music and my this work that I'm doing, my business. But no one's going to give me a loan at 18 or 19. No one's going to take a chance on a kid who wants to be a rapper. Everybody wants to be in music. Everybody wants to be a star. Everyone wants. So I had to take the chance and bet on myself. And I found, I always had this passion and this desire for learning. I do love learning truly. And I love, also being a creative. So for me, me going to school and taking out loans and having, going down that whole path, I looked at it almost like a business loan. I looked at it almost like an opportunity for me to go into this space and, it'd be okay for me to explore and think and create and do the things I had to do, and also kind of get an education, have some formal, background behind me, but really make school and make education my own and make it what I want it to be. So while there was curriculum and there was, obviously, you have your you have your work that you got to do, whatever. But I had my own path. Even though I had a major, I had my own path to do what I wanted to do, exactly what I wanted to do from the time I went into school to the time I left. So that, I never let it kill my creativity. So many people I know have to, we have, some life happens, right? So you have to, you might have these big dreams when you're in school, when you're going through college and you get out, then it's time to get a job, time to take care of those loans, time to do. And I really just stayed the course on being locked in and focused on what I wanted to do creatively and what I wanted to do as far as being an entrepreneur, that I didn't let none of the other stuff distract me. I locked in and I got focused, and that's why I'm where I am today.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of want to pick your brain a little bit about education, being that you had this experience. Because would you recommend, especially parents from our community, from the Black community, do you recommend us sending our babies to these schools knowing that they kill the creativity of our kids? Or do you think, we should probably look into homeschooling more as a viable option?
Yeah, no, I think every family has to make that decision, right? And your kid better than your kid knows themselves, and what works for them. Some people need that structure. Some people need to be in four walls with the classroom and be with peers and need that socialization. I mean, hell, I kind of needed it too. When I look back at it, like, damn, I'm kind of weird, and I wonder why. Like, I needed to be around the kids my age, but it was. But I think that ultimately it's about making the right decision, and also your perspective. Like, you have to go into school understanding that you are here for a purpose. I think if we lock into our kids from an early age that you're here to get, to have fun, and you're here to learn about yourself, and you'll explore, you'll meet other people, you'll have your friends, but also remember why you're here. And I think our education system is a bigger conversation, right? But I think our education system doesn't do a good enough job of really informing parents, students, about why we are learning certain things, why having these basic skills are necessary, right? And okay, what are you? Are you someone who's creative? Are you someone who is more, more oriented towards some creative thing? Are you someone who's more oriented towards business? Someone's more oriented towards, working in, health. You can identify these things at a young age and see what where kids' talents and where their interests lie, and kind of help to curate them in that way. And that way you get these core, things that you need to know. Everybody needs to know when they get out into the real world, but also help to curate and, make sure that kid gets that individual treatment that he or she needs to be, to live their best lives and live in their truth, and not allow the schooling or whatever society to kill their creativity, because it's coming at you from all angles, whether you're in school, whether you're at work, whether you talk about your family or your significant other. It's always something that's coming to try to take that creativity away. And I think, the education system is the last place where that needs to be happening. We need to be encouraging kids to be creative, not taking that away.
Okay.
So, knowing that she was homeschooled, right? Your mom, right? She used to do poetry and do music, and she added that into curriculum. How did that make you more creative at a young age?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, my mom, she wrote a book. She was writing books at the age of 13, and my whole life she was, she was writing poetry, and writing was really the first creative thing that I really got into. That I really felt like that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in, other than being a Power Ranger and a pro wrestler, I want to be I want to be a writer and an author. And then that turned into, went from me writing little short stories, and then me writing poetry, to writing raps, to, eventually writing treatments for documentaries, I guess. So it's, that all started absolutely though from my mom. My love of words and lyrics and poem and poetry all came from Miss Alma Carney, who instilled that in me from a young age. So that I mean, I wouldn't even be interested in the field and the thing that I'm doing today if it wasn't for her instilling that in me.
What documentary that you made was your favorite documentary?
That's a no-brainer. Come on, man. A couple dollars off of that one, man. It was all right.
Well, that was a good one. I do want to get the documentary, but I don't really want to get into that yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. We got some people questions and the thing. Can you read? Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it on your side.
Yeah. Huey Newton from there, and Joy Basquiat, different field comparison, early Black Panther. All right, y'all break that down from this like 3 questions, and your listeners are way smarter than me, man.
What I think the question is trying to convey is, how does like Oakland influence your art? Knowing that you have the Black Panthers, you have the Oakland Raiders, you got NW, like the whole West Coast in general. How does that influence your art and your thinking?
For sure. And I think what also the Black Panther Party also had, they would do art. They were going around creating their own, I guess, propaganda, if you will, but using art as a way to kind of push back at the system as well. And I think you kind of see that parallel with John Michael Basquiat, him, creating these images and these things that were really counter to the culture and the dominant way of thinking. And it forces people to think differently about, black youth and Black people in America. And so, yeah, there's definitely a tie. But, how the West Coast influenced, me in general. I mean, again, just going back to it, man, the hustle, the marriage of creativity and hustle cannot be underestimated, right? Because so many people have ideas and have things that they want to do and have talent, but so many folks don't know exactly what to do with that or how to monetize that. In the Bay, in the West Coast in general, but particularly in the Bay Area where I grew up at, we found a way how to take our talent and monetize. Even when folks were like, oh, well, they can't rap, this ain't really music, this ain't really that, we still found a way. Too Short found a way how to make money off of his Freaky Tales. And E40 was selling tapes out the back of his trunk. Like, we really, and Master P came up to the Bay and learned to hustle and ended up taking that back down south to No Limit, in which now we have No Limit, Cash Money, and all the labels that come after that is a big, the Bay was a big influence on that. So for me, it's really that that marriage of art and commerce that we did. I think we've done so well in the Bay, and it's you see that flourishing throughout hip hop and that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this culture, because we have created an ecosystem and created ways for us to make money off of our lived experiences when other folks wasn't giving us access to to capital, or giving us access to resources where we can get our moms out the hood and stuff. So now we have that, and that's because of our art, and hip hop has given us that platform. So that's from the West Coast to the worldwide. That's just that's just hip hop right there.
You said the marriage between creativity and hustle is underestimated. So with that being said, can you talk about how you protected that in the midst of growing up in Oakland? Because while that is a successful marriage, there are so many other factors that try to create a divorce between those two, whether it be procrastination, whether it be distraction, whether it be unmotivated. So how did you protect those dreams and maintain that marriage of creativity and hustle?
Man, that's such a great question, man. It's something that I think that if it's anything I really have a talent for, right? And I think folks will say that, you're a great, at storytelling and filmmaking and all that stuff. And maybe, I'll let other people say that. But in my humble opinion, I think the thing that I'm most effective at is protecting that dream, I will fight tooth and nail, hell and high water, to make sure that whatever I believe in and the things that I'm trying to do, I protect them. That means, one of my favorite sayings, and it's probably cliche now, but it's a meme I used to see going around on like social media. It was like, think, what was it exactly? It was, lean into the thing that you that you want to do, and say no to everything else. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but find that the one thing that you find out, determine the life that you want to live, and then say no to everything else that's not that, right? And so I'm really a big proponent of that. Like, I don't, if it doesn't line up with my vision, my goals, my dreams, or my ambition, it has no place in my cipher. It just doesn't, whether that's individual friends, or whether that's a particular project, or folks I've dated. If you don't align with the goal, with the mission, we can't, I just can't have that. I'm not going to have anything distracting that. And so that's something that obviously, even in my business ventures and in my, getting to where I'm at now, I've had to really protect that. Like, not, being very selective in even the type of content I choose to put out, being very selective in, how I present the things that I do, or even now, post this documentary being out, I'm being very selective about what type of projects I want to take on and attach my name to, because I have bigger goals than are just entertainment, or bigger goals than are just making film, which film is very important and all that stuff. But I feel like I have such a bigger purpose than that, and you have to make sure that you're aligning everything else right, because you may have 3 or 4 years, 5 years, where you white hot and you're in demand, and you're firing on all cylinders creatively. And then maybe after that 5 years, you ain't hot no more. Ain't nobody checking for you. Nobody wants Michael Payton to do a documentary for him anymore. And so you have to set that next thing up, and be very intentional about what you're trying to accomplish. And I protect that, like, very adamantly. I protect that. I don't let anything else in. I don't let anybody else's ideas or opinions get into what I'm trying to do. Obviously, you have to have your group of folks who you can talk to and bounce ideas off of course. But ultimately, the buck stops here. And if it's not aligned with my mission, I can't be bothered with it.
5 years, we might be calling you for a documentary.
Please, man. Do it now, man.
We already started one. We'll send you the rough cut.
Please, yeah.
Give us some feedback. We did
Yeah.
we definitely did our own. But
yeah.
So do you still do music, or is that it's in the past?
No, I mean, listen. When you're an artist, man, when you're a rapper, you're always a rapper. I'm always fine. Like I look at even my approach to film and content. I look at it almost through a rapper's lens, right? Like through an artist, lens. So, but am I actively like making music and stuff right now? Not really. But that's not to say that I never will. But I think I've just, music is such a. I hate to say this too because it's like I don't believe in limits or putting a cap on yourself, but music is such a young man's game, if you will. And I'm still a young man. I'm 31. I'll be 32 in a couple of months, and I'm still relatively young. But to really put your all and be super, super intentional about being an artist and going out there performing and being in the studio every day. I just feel like there's other ways I can use my creativity. And that's, again, not to say that I won't ever pick up the mic again and do, drop some hot dial on fire on y'all. But I'm, right now, my interests are in other spaces. And I still always, I mean, the name of my company is C-Suite Music. Like it's embedded, it's in my DNA. Hip hop culture, most importantly, is in my DNA. And whether I'm, dropping lyrics or beats, or if I'm dropping knowledge in a documentary, it's all aligned with hip hop culture. It's all about amplifying and putting our culture, pushing our culture forward and pushing it into heights that we've never seen before. And like y'all said at the beginning of the show, I'm just, humbly, I'm just getting started with that mission.
To piggyback what you're saying, I like that answer a lot because that reminds me a lot of what he's doing in his school. The school that he works for is a basketball school. Basically shows you that you don't have to just play basketball to get into the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much more things in the vision or the scope of just basketball or sports in general that you can do it. And I when you said that, I just pictured what a great job he's doing too. So
no, that's such a great point, man. I just to piggyback off of that, I just bumped into to Rich Paul the other day out here in LA, and I was like, he pulled up, he had a Maybach, he looked like he could have been on the team or something, but he don't play ball, he's an agent, mm-hmm. And I think that's important for kids to see that there's not just, there's a whole, that's why I said earlier, there's an ecosystem in hip hop culture, but also in every sector, right? You don't have to, you don't have to be LeBron, right? I mean, if you can play ball, you can play at a high level, great. But not even if you get into the NBA, everybody ain't gonna play 20 years like LeBron. What's your exit strategy? What other things can you do? Can you be an agent, a broadcaster, an owner, a GM? And so I'm really big on helping young people think differently about building out their ecosystem. So yeah, maybe you might be a rapper now. Look at me. I started off as a rapper, and you could never told me I wasn't going to be the next, Jay, or what I mean. Like that was my whole mission. But I had other interests, and I had other things I wanted to do. And when other things started capturing my attention, and the bag was nice as well, I started going in that direction. Like, okay, let's explore this. I didn't set out to be a filmmaker. Everyone asked me like, well, who's your favorite director, and I'm just a creative guy who paints with different colors and different easels. So for a minute it might be music that I'm working on. That was my form of expression. Now it's film and and content and that, in that space. Before you know it, I'm interested in so many other spaces. We about to do some things, man. I'm very highly interested in not necessarily saying that I'm a candidate or anything like that, but I'm big on like educating people on politics and civic engagement and bridging that gap, and how do we use our creativity and our power as a hip hop culture to get folks to the polls, to get people to engage and actually build power locally and beyond. So that's another way to paint. That's another way to create and create change. So I just don't believe in limiting ourselves, but I love that that's the work that you're doing, is having a whole thing where you're showing kids a whole spectrum something that they probably love, and that's important because there's so many aspects that they can dive into and make a great living and contribute.
Dada, thank you for that though. What he just read to us. Yeah.
Well, what kind of relations do you have with Jay-Z for being the fact that he I read something that he had put you through school?
Yeah, the Sean Carter Scholarship Foundation. So I was kind of alluding to earlier when I went to undergrad at San Francisco State. I was broke, poor kid. I didn't have no money, so I was out there writing scholarships to anybody who had a scholarship, any and everybody I was writing. And obviously, I was grew up. Jay was like my my idol as an artist, and just as the things that he was doing business wise. So I was studying all Jay's moves, and I knew everything that Jay had going on. And I heard that he had this scholarship foundation that his mother Gloria ran. So I looked it up, did my research, and found out how to apply. Wrote my letter, and they paid for a nice chunk of my education all while I was an undergrad. So me doing what I'm doing now, I studied media broadcasting, and so I studied television and film and all that stuff in school. And so to ultimately end up doing this documentary is a big result of me, what I learned in school that Jay helped put me through. And so I met Jay while doing this documentary. We ended up filming Jay at his office here in LA, and I went in there and the first thing I just said was just thank you, and he was like, oh yeah, great, I'm happy to do the interview. I was like, no, I'm saying thank you because you don't know this, but I'm here right now because of you. He was like, what do you mean? I mean, Jay hears everything. He's jaded at this point, but I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's great, man, nice. But I was like, no, I got your scholarship. It put me all through school, and that's a large part why I'm right here right now. And he just was like, he was very, he was touched by it. Like, and again, Jay, I'm sure he's heard every idea, everybody said something. Yo, Jay, you remember that one time you did this with my cousin? But he was really blown away by it. And I said I was at the top of our interview, before I started interviewing him. After the interview, he pulls out his phone and FaceTimes his mom, Gloria, and puts us on the phone and tells her my story and tells her that I'm, I'm one of her scholars, and his mother runs the organization. And, it was a moment, man. It was a real moment. And they were just both like, they're so proud of me. And it was incredible. And I walked away from that day thinking that, man, this if for nothing else, that was worth the whole me doing this documentary, like minus the check. That was totally worth it. And I thought that was it, and a few days later, or maybe a couple of weeks later, I get a call from this random New York number, and first I did not pick up because I'm like, I was, spam likely, spam likely, whatever. Like it didn't say spam likely, but I'm like, I'm sure it's likely spam. So I just let it go. I let it go, and then they called back. I picked up the phone and I heard this, the most angelic voice in life, asking, is this Mr. Payton? And it was Miss Carter. And Miss Carter, I guess she had got my information from Jay, asked me if I would come and speak to a group of her incoming scholars on this virtual bus tour that they do every year. And I was like, absolutely, like whatever you want me to do. Like do you want me to drive the bus? Whatever y'all want me to do. And it was, she just said she was so grateful for me, coming back, and she was like, I want you to be a part of the family. And so I was like, so that means I'm Blue's uncle now? Like, what are we doing? But it was incredible. And so I've been working with the Sean Carter Foundation on a couple projects I ain't gonna talk too much about right now, but we that's family now. That's and yeah, it's man, I get chills just thinking about it because that kind of stuff just don't happen. I just have had such a blessed set of experiences that it's incredible, man. It's incredible.
You deserve a round of applause for that, because
Man,
that
thank you.
is hold on, we're gonna get it for you right now. There we go.
Appreciate that. Yes.
Oh, man, because like growing up, looking at your idols, to then helping them pave the way for other young children is amazing, man. And
Yeah.
congratulations to you for that.
No, man. And I gotta say, congratulations to and big, huge shout out to Jay and everybody at Rock, Nation and the Sean Carter. I mean, they are really, I don't even think they really get the credit that they deserve, honestly, because they're out there doing so much work, whether it's, obviously the scholarships and the stuff they're doing with education is phenomenal. I mean, I can't tell you how many kids they have put through college, and they're doctors now. Like, this real work being done. And, they also have their justice reform thing that they're doing. They're big on philanthropy, and they're just out there in the community really doing the work. And I think, they do it really quietly, which probably why it doesn't get the, it's not as loud as the other stuff that they're doing. But man, I mean, thank you to them, man, because they're really, not just for me, but for everybody that lives out there touching. People right now are walking free, because of the work that Jay and Rock Nation are doing. Like, not rappers. I'm not talking about Meek Mill, and I'm talking about like ordinary folks out there getting their freedom and actually getting a second chance at life because of the work that they're doing with reform and all the stuff they're doing. So just gotta give a shout out to them, man. They're doing incredible work, and that's what hip hop is all about. That's what it should be all about.
That was a good little name drop. That was a good one. That was like, we had us all like this, like, oh, nah.
I want to know, so you get the Sean Carter scholarship, and now you're in school. They're helping you pay for college. Can you speak about how it was leaving your neighborhood? Excuse me, leaving your neighborhood and then going back. Did people say you changed? How did you deal with those relationships back at home while you were still in school?
Well, I for those who know San Francisco State, it's kind of a commuter school. So I still lived at home. I was still at home. I was going to school every day, taking the train into San Francisco from where I was in the East Bay. So, that really more or less came after, I want to say, definitely after I graduated and really started moving into the space that I'm in now. That people would say, "Oh, you changed," or you think you this or that. And you get that a lot, from people in your family, people in the neighborhood, like, yo, you think you're going to college, think you're smart. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm just trying to make something happen for myself. Like, everybody trying to make something. I don't think I'm, smarter than anybody. I don't think I'm particularly more talented than anybody. It's just, I'm just trying to find it's just a hustle. The same way you on this corner doing this, I'm over here trying to hustle these books and hustle, this financial aid, so I can, buy Pro Tools and shit. Like, that was my hustle, like, so, so yeah, no, I mean, again, it's just about being focused and being locked in and really putting them blinders on and not seeing or hearing what anybody else really has to say. Because it does bother you for a while. You want to, well, no, I want to be down. I want to show people that I'm not, I'm not smart. Look at me, like you stuff that's counter to your ultimate, productivity and getting to where you need to go. And so I had to learn putting them blinders on, locking in, and just saying, if it ain't, trying to please everybody else and trying to make everybody else happy, you're never going to do that. Only person you can really truly satisfy is yourself. Only person you really can really, who really knows you is yourself. And so do the work, come back and show people. And I can't tell you how many people now, when I come back, people are like, oh man, I knew you was going, like, I knew you, and can I get a job? Can I get the, what I mean? Or you hold some, it's always that. But, those are some of the same folks that were saying that, why you think you can make it out, and I just put them blinders on, man. And I still got them on to a certain degree.
You should, as you should. Then you went to NYU, you said too, right?
Yeah. I after undergrad, I took like maybe a year off and just tried to figure it out. That was the worst year of my life. So I ended up, I actually ended up getting a fellowship in the governor's office in the state of California, where they take you and put young people from the neighborhood into, not the neighborhood, but young people out of college into the governor's office. They give you like a stipend. You get to learn how government works and stuff. But me being a creative, I wanted to try to lend that and also meet someone being interested in that world and in politics and how do we bring resources back to our community. I wanted to get on the inside and and figure out how can I use my creativity to try to pull resources back into my community. So it was, that was something I did right before I went to NYU. Then ultimately, when I finished that fellowship, I went to get my master's at NYU in media communications, and that's actually when I created the Irv Gotti documentary that ended up changing my whole damn life. But I did it in my dorm room at NYU, and man, I love living in New York. I love New York. I genuinely love it. I don't know how y'all do the snow thing. I never quite been able to figure that out.
Yeah, we don't like the snow either.
Man, God bless y'all. Man. I don't know how y'all deal with that, but my first winter in New York City, I was like, yo, man, I want to go home. But no, I love New York. I love the grit. I love the grind. I love the hustle. I love the boroughs. I love. I just love the vibe and the energy, and I needed that. And that energy, I think, ultimately propelled me to doing this murdering doc, the unauthorized murdering doc, that ultimately landed me in Irv's on Irv's radar, and now here I am now. But that hustle and that drive is like you can't sleep. You can't sleep in New York. You can't sit down and just be lazy in New York. You can't. Like, it's always, you want to go all the time. You know what I mean? So and it's always somebody on your line. Somebody's always coming for you. So you got to be diligent and be vigilant and be on top of your game, man. And I think New York gave that to me for sure. And I think I'm a better creative and business person because of it.
You want to get into the doc now?
I had a question.
Okay, one more.
So you're, as a millennial, we've been taught our lives, go to school, go to college, get a degree. That is the route to success. But these Gen Z kids, they are not with none of that. They are, I'm going to be on YouTube, on Twitch. I'm doing it my way, and I'm doing it now. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, do you feel as if, for someone who feels like a creative, is college really necessary to be successful?
I think there is no silver bullet to success, man. And I think that's one thing we got to get into, young people's heads, is that, I think our generation, millennials, and maybe even a little bit the Gen X, put this pressure like, yo, you got to go to college, you got to get a good job, you got to do this, you got to do that, because that was seen as the only path. But one thing about, if you know economics, if you know the law of supply and demand, when there's too much of anything and one thing, it becomes less valuable. So if everybody's going to college, if everybody is, everybody has these similar qualifications, it becomes a little more diminished. So it's really what we need now. I'm not saying we don't. Yeah, absolutely go. I enjoyed the college experience, and I think it's an amazing experience that everybody should have the opportunity to go to college if that's what they so choose to do. But at the same time, we need to put the same kind of resources, the same kind of fervor behind going to trade school, learning how to code, learning how to work construction, let's put that same kind of energy. Like, just because you got a college degree, just because you have this fancy degree behind you, does not mean necessarily that you're going to make no money, unless you know how to work, unless you know how to hustle, unless you know how to make something happen for yourself. It's not an automatic ticket to the land of milk and honey. That's just not it. You have to have a work ethic. You have to have all of that. And if college ain't for you, there's so many other things you can do. Yeah, you can go be a TikToker. You can go be, a tradesman. We need to learn. We need to teach kids, young people, the spectrum of success. Success is not just being, rich and looking like, Jay-Z. It's not just being middle class and looking like, a white picket fence in a house. And I mean, what does success look like for you? What do you need to get there? What do you enjoy doing? I know so many folks that enjoy building, that enjoy, construction, enjoy working with their hands. We need that. Like, that's what makes, that's what made America the powerful thing that is, was our labor, our workers, like our middle class, our unions. Like, that's what made the country prosperous, in the past. Like, we got to go back to that. If everyone's trying to be, which I get it, it's very appealing. I mean, hell, I was on that path myself. I wanted to be a rich rapper and shit. And, now I'm just a rich director. I'm just kidding. I'm not rich, but but no, I mean, not yet.
Speaking to existence.
Not yet, IRS, but they watching. But no, I mean, I think we got to teach them the spectrum, man. Like, teach them the spectrum. And to basically answer your question, that's a long way of me saying, I don't necessarily think that college is the only way to be successful. Not at all. Like, not at all. Quite the contrary, actually.
Oh, so unauthorized Irv Gotti documentary. Can you explain how that is and how that came about?
Yeah. So again, I started off as an artist, right? As a rapper from the age of 11 or 12 years old. What got me into wanting to be a rapper, no lie, it was the summer of 2003, and it was that record with Ja Rule, Shanti, Vita, Charlie Baltimore. I think it was Down for You, and it was on the compilation album from Murda Inc. Irv Gotti Presents The Ink or something like that. And I was the biggest Ja fan in the world. At 11 or 12 years old, somehow I was going to marry Ashanti. I don't know how, but that was going to happen. Like,
I was on the same thing he was on.
Bro, like, we was going to duke it out, because I was adamant that Shanti was going to be Mrs. Payton. That didn't work out. But however, I was very enamored with Murda Inc. The whole, I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But when I seen, Irv Gotti Presents, and I started doing my research. Well, who the hell is Irv Gotti? Why he don't rap? He ain't on none of these records. Who is he? And I started learning. Oh, he's the producer. He's the label owner. Oh, he's the reason why X is this. He's the reason why J is this and that. And that got me into the business of hip hop. It got me into really studying and learning the biz. So, the whole time I was me being an artist, I was also tracking simultaneously the business and the entrepreneurship in hip hop, and that really started from Irv Gotti. So bring it all the way back, I've always been a big fan and a big, huge. I mean, now Irv Gotti's interviews scare me because Drink Champs and shit. But back in the days, I used to watch every Irv Gotti interview and study, because he dropped so many jewels and would drop so much knowledge on the game that when I started making these documentaries, and I made a documentary about Jay. I made one. I mean, I was making these documentaries, and I was always trying to find unique, people to talk about, and people that I looked up to and admired. And obviously, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, I'm going to do one about Murda Inc. Because no one had really did that. And so I just took all the information I had known over the years and gathered, and I did my research. And when I got to New York, when I moved to New York from California, the very first thing I did was, set up my computer, set up my studio, my lab, and I made that doc. That was the first thing I did. I sat there for 2 or 3 weeks. I barely left my dorm. I was my apartment, whatever I was in, and I went to class a little bit. I went to class. I came right back, and I was working on that documentary because I just felt that this story needed to be told. I knew it was going to be something that would be great for my YouTube channel. I thought it was going to get some hits. I thought it was going to get, and it's something I just felt passionate about because I really, I love that story. I love, the come up part of the story, how it came from, Queens and he worked his way up with, working with X and working with J, and then built in Ja and Ashanti later. Like that whole come up story was so fascinating to me that I just did it. I didn't know Irv from I didn't know Irv personally, and he didn't know me. I just made it, put it out, and the shit went kind of viral. And a few months later, Irv seen it and hit me up and was like, "Yo, that shit was dope. Like, I would love for you to come and help me do my actual official documentary." And that's what that started. That was 2019. That's what started this whole journey to get us to the official Murda Ring documentary on BET.
Wow. No, that's crazy.
When you got that DM from Irv, what was like the first thing that popped in your mind? Did you believe it? And if so, who was the first person you told, like, it's on now?
So it's crazy. So the day that I heard from Irv is the exact same day that I buried my mom. I tell this story over and over again, but I have to tell it because it is just so, it's so riveting how it happened, right? The day that as an only child, I'm saying goodbye to my mom and here this big, huge blessing comes in my life. When it happened, after, I had my mom's service in the day, and then that night, I think the movie Us had just came out. Jordan Peele's, not Jordan Poole, Jordan Peele's Us had just came out. Jordan Poole's another story. But the movie Us had just came out. So me, when you're dealing with grief, you try to just move on, put one foot in front of the other. So I'm like, I'm gonna go tonight, see the movie, try to take my mind off everything. And so me and my cousins went to see a movie. I had just got my popcorn. Man, I had just sat down in my seat in the theater when my phone started going nuts. Like it was going crazy. And it was my Instagram was going off. People were like, "Yo, Irv God, he's looking for you. Add me." And I looked and he had tagged me. Somebody had tagged me in the comments in a post, and he made this big ass post on social media. Like, y'all know Irv can write long ass storybooks on his Instagram, and he was like, "Yo, man, whoever this Michael Payton guy is, find him." And I don't lie, to answer your question, I was nervous at first. I was like, "Yo, he's gonna tell me to take it down," because I wasn't reading the whole thing.
I don't want to get sued.
Was the homeboy just got the cease and desist letter from Drake, the impersonator. I was like, I thought that was gonna be me. I like, "Yo, cease and desist. My lawyers will be calling you tomorrow. Like, this is bullshit." Nah, but he was like, "Nah, I want to work with this guy," and the internet connected us. I got in his DMs. We started talking. We exchanged numbers. It's funny. He was actually, I forget to tell this. I think he forgets this too. But while I'm in the movie theaters watching Us, he's in the movie theaters watching Us as well. We both watching at the same time. So we're texting each other. This is our first day, meeting each other and like talking to each other. And he's like, "What you think about the movie?" I'm like, "I think it's cool. What you think?" I'm sorry, I don't want to put you on blood, but he's like, "This movie's bullshit, man. Like, it's just corny." So this is my first, and I'm up thinking this shit is like Jordan Poole's, Jordan Peele. God damn, Jordan Peele's genius and whatever.
I don't think Golden State played today. They
don't play. No, they don't. I got sports on the brain, man. But so that whole thing, I was just super blown away. I was like, already, I'm gonna tell you, man. I don't know if any of y'all have ever lost a parent. I hope not. But that's such an unrealistic state of mind that you're in anyway, that everything else just seems like you're just in the fog. So while I was present enough to be like, "Yo, this is crazy," but it didn't feel that unsurreal because it was like everything else was so surreal. I mean, the woman that I loved and that was my rock was gone. So like everything else, of course, was like, of course this is happening. This is real. I'm in the simulation right now. Like it was a crazy feeling. But the next day we got on the phone and talked, and it became more and more real. And it just relationships started building from there. And man, looking back at it now, it's like, how in the hell did all this stuff just kind of happen like this? But it's I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, man.
Yep.
Absolutely. And, we just want to say rest in peace to your
Yeah.
mom. And,
Thank you.
just want to give her a round of applause for being an amazing woman. And
Thank you. Thank you.
man that you are, we definitely have to give our queen her flowers for sure.
Appreciate
I'm
you.
a firm believer that also. It's like whatever was supposed to happen, whatever like that. Man,
Yeah.
you was laying her to rest, and she was giving you another blessing. So
Absolutely. I was saying goodbye to one life. She was giving me a whole new life to look forward
Yep.
to.
to make
Yeah.
sure that you're good for the rest of your life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know if you got any kids or anything like that, but she was making sure you're good, man.
No, sir. No kids, man.
Okay. Listen, everybody got no kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I mean, yeah, loud and clear.
But
Not
yeah,
yet, not yet.
Nah, I ain't got no questions right now.
You good? All right. All right. So getting into the documentary now, right? I calls you. Now y'all talk about whatever you wrote. What is it called? The documentary thing that
Treatment?
Treatment.
Yeah.
Because they told us we got to write that for our documentary, and we was like, "What the hell was that? We don't know what the hell we were talking about."
Mhm.
So you write the treatment.
I'll help you out with that.
Yeah, you write the treatment, and you give it to him, and he like signs off on it, or like how does that work?
For the official documentary. So
The official documentary.
Yeah, we started building just kind of me and him. So because I was living in New York at the time, but when my mom passed, I ended up flying back to California. But then when I got back to New York, him and I we linked up, and so we just started talking. He really was like, yo, I'm probably gonna get like Hype or Benny Boom or somebody to do it, and you just kind of work under them, and you can either co-direct or you just kind of learn from them or produce whatever. Like that was and I was like, cool, bet. Like, hell yeah, I can do that.
It's still in a like learning experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then as the time went on, like months went on, I was in that space of okay, I was starting to write little things, little treatments and stuff for it, but I was still in the mindset that we're going to ultimately have a director. But one day he just came to me and was like, yo, you're going to direct it. I was like, like, what you talking about? I was like, not that I was like scared of the challenge. I just wasn't expecting like for me to direct. It's not like I'm compared to Benny or Hype. I'm like, I'm not none of them dudes yet, but for him to trust me was like very like, wow, he's but really I think it was because he realized I'm such a student of the culture. And he was really so blown away. I didn't talk about this, but one of the things that blew him away about the doc is how I knew so much about, Murder Inc. and that time and that, that whole era. And he was like, yo, you're like what, 20? I was 28 at the time. He was like, you're 20 some years old and you like, how do you know all this stuff? And how did you learn on it? And I was like, I'm a student of the culture. So I think he saw that I really had a real deep, love and understanding of the culture and of his story in particular, that he just trusted me to really tell it right. So yeah, I started writing a treatment. I remember our very first partner with this was not BET. Actually, we weren't going to do this with BET. BET wasn't in the mix. We actually were doing this with Live Nation Productions. And so he hooked it up, sat me down with Live Nation, and they signed off on me being the director, which was amazing. And we were going. We were in the process of creating the treatment. We had a great pitch deck that I put together, and ultimately this is right when the pandemic happened, the global pandemic happened and shut everything down. Like we were really like a couple of maybe a month or two away from production. And when that pandemic hit, they shut live shows down. So therefore, Live Nation, that's their bread and butter. They shut everything down. They weren't doing no productions or anything. And so that put everything on pause for a long time. And but in between that time, we were before the pandemic, just to go back, we had already started filming certain little pieces for it and, putting little things together. And I was, still writing out the full treatment. So during the time of the pandemic, I wasn't wasting any time. I was still working on banging out a dope concept for the whole thing, how we're going to put it together, who we're going to get. And ultimately we ended up finding, in the midst still of the pandemic, we ended up circling the BET, who was expressed high interest in the project, and they ended up being our partner on this, and then we took it, went from there, and built it out, and we ultimately shot it this year. So it was a long journey and stressful journey to get the thing done. But yeah, I mean, the whole time I'm working on building out the creative, and not necessarily, I don't want to say, Irv signed off on me, and from there he told me, like, yo, I want you to tell the story however you want to tell it. Don't hold nothing back. If people want to come on here, we can curse on here, right?
Yeah. You say whatever you want.
If people want to, I can say whatever I want. I can go
whatever you want.
He said, if people want to come on there and say, yo, fuck Irv, and Irv is an idiot and he's a bastard, I want you to tell the whole scope of my story, and no, don't hold anything back just because I'm giving you this opportunity. And I definitely tried to hold true to that. But yeah, so once he signed off on me, it was like, just go. And I was mostly building with the network and how to tell the story the best way. And that's how we ended up with the product that we got with the Murda Inc. Story, five-part series.
With that said, once you got the sign off with Irv, did that make it easier for the rest of like the Murda Inc. crew to believe in you as well? Because I don't know if your name was like in those circles before you got this opportunity. So how did the rest of the crew feel like they could trust you with telling their story the right way?
I gotta say, it was Irv was the first, like, thumbs up. Then it was, when did I meet Ja, man? It wasn't Ja. I met BJ, who was like Irv's guy, man. He's like, and he's just a great, incredible guy who's been a part of Murda Inc. from the jump. And really, he was the guy that really, because Irv is creative and always up in the, he has his big ideas, but BJ is kind of like the filter. He's kind of like, nah, I can't. And so I remember me and BJ went out to breakfast, and he was at Irv's house out here in LA one time when I was out here, and we just kicked it. He just was like, what you about? Would you, where you come from? What's your story? I gotta protect my man, and what you trying to do. And I just told him, my story and what I'm trying to do and how this whole thing came about. And I feel like once I got the sign off from BJ, I was good. Like I was good, because BJ is a real guy, right? And so he was like, he ain't going to let you just do whatever. And so once I earned his trust and he seen that I was thorough, I think I met Ja. I might have met Ja the same day, and Ja, a very similar thing. Ja was, felt me out, and we kicked it and talked me out to eat, and once I had this sign off, it was pretty much a done deal from there. Like, yeah, oh shit, I can't. I'll be remiss if I don't mention Chris Gotti as well. Also, I when I was living in New York, I went back to New York after I buried my mom and everything. And Chris was like living in New York more heavy than Irv is, because Irv was mostly West Coast at the time, even though he has a place there. He was back and forth. But me and Chris, his brother Chris Gotti, we really built heavy for like a couple of months. I would just go to the studio with him. He had a radio show out there. I would just build with him. We would talk. He would give me, and so I had to buy in from him as well. So I had Irv, I had Chris, BJ, Ja, and the rest, everything else just kind of fell. Everyone else, like, well, if they trust you, you good, So yeah, that was the first gauntlet I had to get through. But it seemed like I passed the test, man.
So you passed that test.
Yeah.
Can you speak about if there was any pressure that you felt on your shoulders? Like, all right, I got signed off by everybody I need to get signed off by. I can't fuck this up at this point. Did you feel that type of pressure at all?
Yeah, it's gonna sound crazy, but nah. I'm gonna be honest with you. At some point, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like I never felt I knew I had to deliver, and I had to deliver big. That's inherent in this whole job, right? I knew I had to come with it, but I never for once doubted that I could do it and that I would do it. And the whole time, I just kind of kept that same vibe and that same, not arrogant, but just understanding the magnitude of the mission I was on, but also realizing that I got to do okay, I want to be great. I'm not going to just breathe in my own exhaust and just, believe the hype around me being so dope. I do have to prove myself, but I'm not going to kill myself either. Like I know I'm dope. I know I'm dope. I know that everything I've done up to this point has prepared me for this moment. Because I didn't just drop out the blue. Again, I said over and over again, I started off in the music business. I've worked in every aspect of this business from even prior to that. I've worked in music. I worked in radio for a while. I worked in, obviously production and on movie sets. I've been in the game in different facets. So this was a different space and a different atmosphere. But by the time I got there, I was already 28, 29 years old. So wasn't like I was a young, whippersnapper who was just trying to get his legs under him. I already had a few reps under me, and I was ready. It was a big moment, but I was ready for that moment. And I feel like, looking back now, it's like, damn, there's some things I could have did. I could have learned. I could have did better if I knew now. But ultimately, I never felt like the pressure. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to. I knew we were going to deliver something that people was going to be talking about and something that was going to be riveting for the culture. And yeah, like that's again, not to be arrogant, but just that was the energy I brought to it. Like, well, they trust me, I must be doing something right. So let's go.
Well, kudos to you, because the documentary was really, really good.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I like, from the first episode I watched, episode 1, when I like the way that you took it back. Every time they said, "Let me talk about," and then you went back.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. I like how he was going on. I think you did a hell of a job, man.
Thank you, man. And I got a shout out also to my team, like the editing post production team really did a great job of locking in on the vision and really translating what I envisioned into the final product, man. So shout out to Inkblot Narratives who was in charge of that department of the editing and everything, but they really implemented my vision very, very strongly, and it came across. It came, people, everyone who I talked to was like, "Yo, the way that y'all told that story was just, was phenomenal." So that's not just me; it's the whole team, man. But definitely appreciate that.
The biggest question I had too is because obviously we all know that Ashanti was not in the doc. Was that like a?
Y'all see y'all later. I'm just kidding.
If you can answer, was that not like a letdown? I don't want to say it was a letdown, but it's like a part of the story that was untold.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because then they also, all of them are saying things other places, but it was a perfect place to speak her mind. Like they said, he said, they could say whatever the hell they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about that challenge of not being able to get that accomplished?
That was tough, man. That's probably the biggest thing that, I mean, obviously that's the biggest thing that was missing from this doc, because a lot of people in the doc had issues prior with Irv. I mean, we got Lloyd in there. Lloyd wasn't necessarily on the best terms with Irv at the time, but they, he understood like this is a legacy thing. I think Cadillac Ty was in there. They wasn't on the best of terms. And so, I reached out to Ashanti. I reached out directly, and I was like, listen, I understand that, the situation is tricky and y'all ain't on the best of terms with Irv, but this is your moment to speak about whatever you want to speak about or whatever you don't want to speak about. But ultimately, I want to give you the space to have your flowers for what, what happened, what y'all created with this Murda Inc. legacy. And, I think still she ultimately decided that wasn't what, she very respectfully. I mean, it wasn't like a, fuck y'all, we ain't doing, like, it was like, nah, she was like, this is something as a team we feel like is not in our best interest. And I, to a certain, listen, if you put yourself in their shoes and her shoes, I mean, I who wants to be drawn into that when people moved on with their lives, right? People have moved, and I'm not, I know she's recently did the interview with Angie, and she's like, that Irv was doing certain things for ratings. From my perspective, I was not. I care about telling the story the way as a fan. I actually personally don't really care about whatever may have happened between them. Like that's like
Mhm.
First of all, it's none of my business. Second of all, like that's 20 something years ago. Like why? Like that's why is that even? Well, it's like y'all made great music. Y'all made great music. Things happen where ultimately things didn't work out. Let's talk about that. And I really planted my flag there. And but to be quite transparent, the network wanted the ratings. The network wanted those ratings, and I pushed back a little bit, like, yo, maybe we shouldn't. But they're like, we want the clickbait, and so they got it. It kind of backfired on them a little bit, and it was what it was. But from my perspective, I understand why Ashanti wouldn't want to do the doc, and you know, I'm still a fan of Ashanti. I still love her music, and I respect. I ain't got nothing bad to say about that woman, because ultimately I respect what she did. Her and Irv did creatively. Everything else ain't none of my business, or none of our business, truthfully. But
That's a fact.
Building.
Go ahead.
Building off of what you just said, not being able to get that voice that is Ashanti, but you have so many other perspectives on this documentary, from the family, sister, dad, brother, Ja, there was
Vita.
there was so many, Hove, there were so many other perspectives on this documentary. Can you speak on how you found that balance? Because I could sit with Hov for 2 days, right? And just listen to all the stuff that he has to say. But you can't, it's not Hov's story, right? So how do you find that balance with getting all these superstars in one series and still getting everybody's story?
Yeah, I gotta say this about Hov. I was really I don't want to say shocked, because Hov has always been transparent in his music and stuff, but Hov is also very, he's very careful. He's not gonna just say stuff. He don't just shoot from the hip all the time, right? Like he's a very, very, very intelligent man, right? And so I was actually really shocked. Again, let me not say shocked. That's the wrong word. But I was pleasantly surprised by how candid he was about Irv, right? And their relationship, and how he felt about Irv trying to sign Nas, and how he felt about certain things that he just, like, he would be like, Irv is a genius and Irv is smart, but he just gets in his own way. And I think stuff like that is so refreshing. And by the way, across the board, that's almost what I mean, from Hove to Steve Stout to Nas to Leor to Kev, like everyone said the same damn thing. It was like, Irv is a genius. Irv is brilliant. Irv can move mountains if he wants, but he gets in his own damn way. And that's something that, listen, me being around Irv for the last 3 or 4 years, you definitely observe the passion and the drive that he has. But sometimes those blindfolds that he puts on is, he only sees what's in his peripheral. And people were very open and candid about the way they felt about him, whether they loved him or felt like he could have did things better. And I think that's what made this doc, to me, really stand out. It really goes back to what we talked about earlier, about how I was kind of given carte blanche to tell this story in a very truthful and transparent way. It wasn't no, propaganda where let's just make Irv look like he's a saint. Like, no, Irv, and he'll tell you he messed up. Sometimes he messed up. When he got it right, he got it really right. When he got it wrong, he got it really wrong, and he'll be the first to tell you that. But even if he don't, I got about 16 other people in the doc that's gonna tell you that. So it's I mean, I'm really proud of that. The fact that we did find that balance. I think that while Irv is the driving kind of force or voice behind the doc, it's you have his perspective, but you have other people coming in and chiming in and saying, nah, this, he fucked up. He should have did this. He should have not did that. He shouldn't have tried. I mean, Jay says it, that him trying to sign Nas put a fracture in their relationship. Leor says it, that when Irv started getting high and feeling himself, and he was Irv Gotti, that's when their relationship and the whole Def Jam thing started to part ways. If you really pay attention and look beyond just the Ashanti stuff, it's a lot of gems being dropped about this this label and Irv, like it's very, I think it's very holistic and well-rounded, not skewed at all.
Yeah, we was little talking before you came on when we was here, and I was like, I watched the documentary because I rewatched it because I wanted to like refresh myself before we come on here and talk to you about it. And I see so many similarities in like the things that we're trying to do. But just that focus is like where I want to be. Like that focus he had when he was on, he was on, and that's where we're at this point in time. Is like our focus is to do whatever we got to do to make sure everything is going good. Like, and like I say, you did a great fucking job on that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I mean, that's the thing that it's so interesting to see in the beginning, the arc, right? To see in the beginning how, he was like this young, hungry kid who just he didn't do drugs. He didn't drink. He didn't do anything. He didn't smoke a cigarette. He was in the studio, locked in the studio while everyone else was at the Murda Inc. mansion and in LA partying. He was in the studio. Him and Lil Rob were in there working, making the beats. Ja would come in, spit his 16, leave, go to a club. Irv was still in there, no drugs, no nothing. But the minute that things blew up and he started feeling the fruits of his labor, started delving into the drugs a little bit, started delving into the, leaning into the gangster image a little bit, and that's when shit hit the fan. But it's a really interesting tale and very interesting perspective about why it's important to stay hungry and stay humble and stay in that space, because if you don't, you can easily lose it, man. You cannot ever lose sight of the fact that, don't ever lose, he should have never, lost sight of that 15-year-old kid who was on the turntables in Jamaica Park. He should have kept that same, but at some point, I get it. Like I'm not even nowhere near the level of success that Irv was reaching at their peak, but there's temptations all around. To feel yourself and to be into your own ego and to be like, yo, I'm the shit. I made this happen. It's very, very easy to be tempted in that way. Now, hopefully, people watching this, and like folks like yourself, you on that upward trajectory right now. Maybe it's some gems and some things that you'll look at and be like, yo, okay, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to go on Elle magazine and say J-Lo can't sing. I'm not going to do that. Like I'm not going to make those same mistakes. I'm not going to make those mistakes and think that I can't fall off, because you can be on. Man, Rule said it the best, man. He said you can be on top of the world one day and wake up the next day with the world on top of you. And that's that. If that ain't not, if that don't sum up the Murda Inc. story, I don't know what does.
What were the 5 biggest lessons or 5 best lessons that you learned from this entire process?
Don't go on Drink Champs. Stay away from Drink Champs. Alcohol in the room and Noriega, just go in the other room, man.
Listen, we be doing that here too. So
yeah, we definitely
listen, man. I got my water and I'm sober right now. So
we used to do shot o'clock. We should take a shot every hour.
We should. We could do that. I got some Douce up there.
I'll take a shot with you. I got some liquor here somewhere.
Yeah, we can do it. We can make that happen. But no, really, I say that in jest, but I actually really do mean that. Like, I'm not saying don't go. I love Nori. By the way, I love Nori. I'm not saying nothing about. But I think you do have to be mindful, because sometimes something that's so one thing that Shanti said. Anybody who watches Shanti's interview with Angie was that interview did kind of diminish the the bigness of this story. This is a 5-part documentary series where we got Jay, we got Nas, we got the biggest label in the world in the early 2000s, all these incredible stories, all this incredible music, and it was kind of shrouded by this this controversy, and this making people look in another direction rather than looking at the greatness, And so I think it's, when the one big lesson I learned from this is really be mindful of, how you carry yourself outside of your product. You represent your product. You represent your work. Like your reputation precedes you, and you should be mindful of that. Like, every word that you say, some things that you may say in private don't need to be said in public. And is it going to ultimately, affect the bag? And so that was a huge lesson I learned at the tail end of this whole thing. But as far as working on this actual thing, man, I just learned how, or it definitely embedded in me even harder. I think I talked about this a little bit, but just staying humble, not believing your own hype, not getting too caught up in the. It's very easy to get extremely high, literally and figuratively, in this business. Like, it's very, very easy to. Come on, I can't tell you how I walked with a bop for like 7 days after fucking interviewing Hov. Like, you couldn't tell me shit, man. I was going to the grocery store, walking in front of motherfuckers like, yo, I was interviewing Hov. I was like, I was on my shit. And I had to like, yo, I gotta take it down a notch, man. Like, at the end of the day, we all just humans at the end of the day, and we all can be, all this shit can be taken away at any given moment. It ain't guaranteed. It ain't promised. It ain't like it's owed to you. You gotta, it sounds corny and cliche, but they say like you gotta earn this shit. You got rent is due every day when it comes to doing this work and trying to make this shit happen. You can't slack and like, oh, I'm gonna fall off today and just be an asshole. So I definitely learned a lot of humility. I learned, man, just so much. So much about the business, so much about, how to put together a proper TV show, what to do, what not to do, what type of people I want to work with, what type of people I don't want to work with. What is it like working with a network and the limitations of that, and also the benefits of that, all that. I think that's probably 6 or 7 things, but I learned definitely a lot. It was a lot, big, huge learning lesson. Huge learning lesson.
I bet.
Might be a little controversial. Can we talk about 50?
Absolutely.
Would you ever do a documentary of 50 Cent on his version?
I'm gonna cut you off. I don't know where that's going.
Small man.
Listen. No, no. Keeping it real. We keep it real here on 40Central Network, man.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't expecting to answer that fast.
No, I'm just keeping it real, man. And it's not because, listen, when I was growing up, I didn't have I was a fan of the culture and shit, but I love 50 and I love Ja. Like, I was playing Get Rich or Die Trying, and I was playing Last Temptation, and I was playing Blood in My Eye. Like, to me, great music is great music. And even Irv would tell you that, 50, when he did what he did, he was on top of the fucking world. He did it. He smashed the game. Like, he changed the fucking game. Let's be clear, right? So in that regard, I have respect for what 50 did musically, and I wasn't there. I'm not a part of that beef. But one thing that I am is I'm a loyal person, right? And I just feel that it would kind of be wrong, not because I wouldn't want to do it. It's just because, listen, Irv gave me the biggest chance of my life. Irv gave me I wouldn't be sitting here talking to y'all right now, candidly, if it wasn't for Irv. So I wouldn't want to do it. Listen, if he approached me and the bag was right, I may think about it. But ultimately, I just think my knee-jerk reaction is like, no, I wouldn't, just because of my reverence for Irv and the team, and I wouldn't want to. That just don't look right. It just wouldn't even. It just wouldn't. Not that business isn't business, but it just wouldn't. I just don't think it would necessarily align. I also wouldn't necessarily know if I could, trust the situation on both ends either, because it would be like, would I be being used as a pawn or some shit? Like, yeah, these guys really don't like each other. Like, for real, it ain't rap. It ain't just rap beef. It's some real shit. So, not that, no shade necessarily at 50 and shit. It's just, I just don't think it would be the right thing to do,
that takes me to a part of your documentary where when Irv trying to sign Nas.
Yeah.
Right? If he would have went to Jay and said and asked, hey, let's have a conversation about Nas, right?
Right.
And obviously if Jay would have said yes or no, he would have did it or not. If the opportunity came into play and you say, hey, Irv, would you have that conversation first before you say?
Yeah. I think I would have if it was right and it was the right kind of project and if it was I would have a conversation with him like, listen, man, he giving me $100 million, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you know,
for those of y'all who didn't watch the documentary, go watch the documentary, man, because Irv didn't ask Jay. So
he just did it.
He had that conversation.
Right. And Irv will probably tell me to do it. Knowing Irv like, yo, nigga, do it. Like, giving you what? Irv is. I just think out of respect, but out of again, just my knee jerk. Like, I answer really quickly just because I just as someone who has grown a bond with the Murda Inc. family and stuff. I just feel like it would be wrong for me to be over here, and I'm again as a documentarian. I don't have a dog in the race, right? But as a man, as a person who, my life was changed by Irv. And I just feel if 50 was to approach me on, maybe with some, if it's a project adjacent to 50 and what he's doing, never say never, but ultimately I would feel a little bit strange doing it, just to be honest. Now, if, obviously Jay, I'm working with Jay's team, and so I have no problem with that, but just that thing just would be kind of like, and Irv is big on, you probably seen in the media, Irv is big on loyalty and Murda Inc. is like a family. Like listen, man, Ja's let me into his home. I met with his kids. I talked to his wife. I broke bread with Ja. Like, again, I think it's just on just some friendship type shit. I just wouldn't feel right. Just wouldn't feel right.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, please.
So we do sometimes we do karaoke. We used to do karaoke after we leave here, right? You got the video?
No, I got the video right now.
No. So no, I'm talking about when you did Ja Rule. And he was in the spot. He was rapping Ja Rule, and Ja actually viewed his story of him rapping his shit.
He did a pretty good job at it too.
What did he say? Did he say anything?
He ain't saying nothing. He probably was like, "Yo, what the fuck is this?"
I tagged him in it.
He tagged him. He probably like, "Yo, why the fuck he tagged me?" Because
wilding, yo.
His exact voice and everything.
Wow. Rue probably laughed at. Rue's got a sense of humor. These niggas crazy.
So, hey, got anything else about the documentary?
Yes. Do you feel, I got two questions about the documentary. Number one, when you guys were wrapping up the documentary, how did you define success for the doc? And how did the network define success for the doc?
It's a great question. For me, success for the doc was just getting it done. Honestly, like for me, it was a win. It was no way, I got my first, again, thinking like a rapper, right? Like imagine this being my first album and I got Jay, Nas, Irv, Ja, Leo, like my first album, and I got these heavy fucking hitters on this. Like, come on, I got a feature from Jay and a feature from Nas. I'm J. Cole right now. I'm Kendrick. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I already won. Me as a director, I already won. Listen, to be candid, I wanted this thing to be the biggest thing since sliced bread on network TV. But people don't watch TV in the same way that they used to when I was growing up, right? Like people are streaming, people are watching things, catching clips from social media. It's different. So, I would love to have like 5 million viewers the first week and shit, but it just that's just not the way TV really works anymore unless you're watching like, a sports event or something. It doesn't.
Everything is streaming at this point.
Everything is streaming. So for me, success was seeing it through one, but also seeing the reaction from the fans and from the culture. And so when I see, what's the Shade Room and Rap Radar and shout out to Elliot Wilson, man, and Rap Radar, but all these huge blogs and social media is blowing talking about it, and all the chatter that was going on around it. To me, that was success. It was like, okay, we created a conversation, we stimulated serious conversations in the culture, for better, for worse, mostly in some regards. But we got people talking, and that's always important. We got people engaged. And the one thing I'm so proud of is that even with the controversy, even with Irv going on Drink Champs and saying what he said, and people, not liking it, people will go on social media. Ashanti's fans were on social media like, yo, Irv is an asshole, but this is a great documentary. Like people to me, that meant a lot to me, because I'm like, okay, we did something right. Even people who would not be inclined to like Irv still see the beauty. I mean, listen, when you watch Ashanti's interview with Angie, she don't really say nothing bad about the doc. She's like, yeah, I watched it and it was the part where we talked about her, but what can you really say about, this story overall? It's not just about that. It's a story about Ja Rule. It's a story about X. It's a story about Jay. It's a story about, coming from nothing and making something happen. And it's a story about criminal justice, with
Yep.
the federal indictment, man. You had these guys who were doing everything right. We're making millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, paying taxes, putting people on, giving people jobs. And the government, because of what they look like and who they associated with, said, nah, we shutting that shit down. And, there's so many layers to this story that, I think that people still got, despite all the bullshit. And I'm proud of that. So for me, my check looked the same whether we did 5 million or 5. It doesn't. So it was. I measured it by based on the crowd reaction. And to me, the culture responded positively to it, and I'm proud of that. That's
By the way, shout out to his sister, because she kept those receipts.
Oh man! Shout out to Tim.
Because not for nothing, that was probably one of the biggest things in the world at that time. If she wouldn't have kept those receipts, they would have went to jail.
Oh, absolutely. Tina was the secret sauce behind the whole acquittal. So shout out to Tina, man.
Is that second part?
Oh, my last question about the doc. So before the doc, Irv hit your DM, things start going. You said Irv changed your life. Murda Inc. changed your life. That was, it wasn't just Irv. It was, the truth and the stories that everybody and the team that you gave a shout out to, everybody contributed to this.
Yeah.
Now you're known as, the creator and director of the hit docuseries that is the Murda Inc. story on BET. Everybody needs to go watch that.
And BET
with that being said, now how do you separate from that doc, and so that way people now see you as Michael J. Payton, the creator, and not Michael J. Payton, the person who just directed this series?
That's such a great question, because that's something that I am meticulously and surgically working on every day. I don't want to be known as just the Murda Inc. guy, right? I kind of gave y'all a little taste in my background and my interests. My interests span so far beyond just making music docs, right? And I love, obviously, again, it's on the hat, C-suite music. That's in my DNA. It's in my blood. But, I'm interested in how else can we use our storytelling, our hip hop culture, to elevate other stories and elevate other things and bring other things to the forefront, right? So I'm heavily interested in locked in on, social justice and those issues and things that we can draw light to. Those are the kind of docs and kind of things that I want to do. And always having that connective tissue with music and culture. How do we bring in this? And maybe we use a, celebrity or whatever to bring attention to it. But the things I want to do are, one of the things I'm really proud of is that episode 4 of Murda Inc. We just talked about, the indictment and all that, because I think it goes to a bigger conversation that we're having right now about reform and justice and the inequities in our system. And I mean that's a huge example of that, right? And I think those are things that we need to draw more attention to. We need to draw more attention to our education system, to our criminal justice system, to our economic system, and why our communities of color aren't getting the same kind of opportunities that other communities are getting. So how can we make that shit hot and make that cool and make that dope, in the way that like Ava DuVernay made like the 13th doc, about the connection between, slavery and the mass incarceration. Those are kind of things I think we've been entertained to death. Like it's we're musiced out, we are fashioned out. Let's step into these other spaces. So for me, it may not be as sexy on the forefront as like a Murda Inc., but those are the type of stories I'm looking for, that I'm actually, in the process of creating going forward. For example, the next thing that I'm actually working on right now, I don't want to talk too much about it because it's we want to get the paperwork and everything right. But I'm working with a very prominent woman in hip hop, who's a historic woman in hip hop, about on a documentary about the evolution of women in the hip hop industry. So not just rappers, not just folks you see on the forefront, but from the behind the scenes to in front of the scenes and everything in between. Helping to tell that story and drive those kind of stories that aren't really being told like that, which is, I don't want to say a 180 from Murda Inc., but it's definitely in a different lane, in a different vein. So those, again, that's the type of work that I'm doing to hopefully separate myself from just not separate. I embrace doing the Murda Inc. doc, and I love it. I don't never take that away. But you don't want to be typecast into the guy who just does a bunch of bunch of rap documentary, which I have, again, shout out to rap and shout out to hip hop, but that's, I know that I can do so much more, offer so much of an extensive lens creatively to other topics. So hopefully y'all be seeing more of that kind of stuff from me.
You answered my question. I was about to ask you what was next for you. So, Bo, now we know that. You got something? You got another question?
No, I have no question.
Now what's next for you? But
I've talked y'all ear off, man.
no, now we got so much more. I'm gonna just let you know that was all off the top of the head.
Wow.
Listen, we were just here vibing with you. Just what we were doing, man. We just came here and made sure that you had a great time. Documentaries. Are we ever gonna go from documentaries to TV shows or movie films, or is that like another jump that you would like to take?
No, I don't. Honestly, truthfully, I can say I don't know. Right as of right now, I'm very, very focused on documentary. I think there's just an incredible, vast array of things that you can do with documentary, and not that I don't, I've never limit myself, right? So I'm sure one day I'll probably do a feature film or something, but at the time, right now, I'm really not. I'm really interested, really just in doing documentary. I mean, I think it's it gives you the most space to create and make something that take something that's existing. It's hip hop, right? We take something that exists already, remix it, put our own flavor, our own funk on it, and now the world is enjoying it and learning and being entertained and being enlightened all at the same time. And so I love documentary. I mean, one day I'm sure I'll do a film, but I think my journey is so much more expansive than just films. I don't want to, again, I don't even want to get typecast or put in the pigeonholed into just being a filmmaker and a film director either. Like there's so many things that, I'm a businessman, I'm a philosopher, a thought leader, someone who, I want to do it all. And that's just one of the tools. So if one day I can tell a message super effectively through a film, through a motion picture, a true feature film. That's what we're gonna do. But until then, I got like 100 docs in my head that I got to get out first before.
They all gonna come out, man.
Huh? Yes,
They
sir.
all gonna come out.
Thank you. Thank
you got some time?
We good. What's good? What's good? What we doing?
All right, because we listen. I don't know. We done with the interview. We about to talk some shit right now. Like,
oh shit.
It's up to you if you want to stay. We still got to take that shot before we end. But
I'm good, y'all.
I think our conversation was amazing, man. I do want to thank you for the just being candid with us and as the interview part. But when we turn to this side,
oh shit.
Can I ask one more question before we transition?
Do your thing. I gotta use the bathroom.
Can you just let us know about C-Suite Music?
Damn, I wanted to know this. Hold on.
And the story behind that.
Yeah, so C-Suite Music is really started off as kind of a brand that I made. When I was transitioning away from making music, I still wanted to keep that in what I did. I always wanted to stay connected to the culture. So it really started off as a magazine, as a blog that I created on the internet, where I just kind of curated all this different music. I had like rock, indie rock, hip hop, all these different songs and artists I was kind of curating, local artists I was curating, and just kind of creating this space of things that I enjoyed and I loved. And the term C-suite music came from, the word C-suite is corporate slang for, the chief executive officer, the guys sitting, the COO and all that. So, we always in hip hop have a way of repurposing and remixing shit. So we go from John D. Rockefeller to Rockefeller Records. We go from Murda Inc., the Italian hitman, to Murda Inc. Records. And we taking these things and that, weren't necessarily coined by us, but we're taking it and remaking it our own. So that was in that same vein. C-suite, I'm taking the corporate culture and I'm merging it with our hip hop music culture and saying that we are taking our culture to a higher level. So not only are we going to just take it to a higher level musically, we're going to take it to a higher level politically. We're going to take it to a higher level when it comes to business, when it comes to everything. We're going to instead of highlighting the bullshit and the world star, we're going to be the opposite of that. We're going to be like, let's look at the business acumen of Herb Guy. Let's look at the business acumen of Jay, or let's highlight this young, I was working with Mayor Michael Tubbs who's this young mayor out in California, Northern California, who was like 26 years old at the time, 26 years old, the youngest and like the first Black mayor of his city, the youngest mayor in the whole country. And we started working with them on creating content and creating, digital, websites and all this stuff, trying to just, again, use our hip hop lens and aesthetic to bring, to bring our culture into, that world and that space. So again, it was always on some, let's elevate our culture to a higher level. That's the philosophy behind C-Suite music. And that's what we're going to continue to try to push going forward.
So make sure everybody go follow C-Suite Music. And make sure you go support that business. We definitely going to have you back here at 40 Central for sure.
And whatever else he has in store, any documentary, anything like that, we definitely going to be here to support you no matter what.
Can the doc be purchased?
Ooh, no, I don't think so.
Nah, you have
to buy BT Plus.
BT Plus, yeah. Okay. Right now, if you can subscribe to BT Plus, you get 7 days of free trial, and you can binge watch all 5 episodes, and it's incredible. If you got BT, if you got cable, I think it's on demand as well. Mm-hmm. Or you can go on BT.com and watch it. Just log in through your cable or whoever your subscriber is, if it's YouTube or whoever provides your cable or TV services. So it's a lot of different ways to watch it. I would definitely say do yourself a favor if you haven't watched it and just go binge watch. It's incredible. It's very entertaining. It's never a dull moment. It's, you get some of the greatest minds in hip hop, everybody from Jay-Z to Charlemagne to, Stephen Hill, formerly of BET, to, everybody, Leo Cohen, Kevin Love. It's an all-star roster, man. So go watch that thing.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you feel like you have to let the people know?
Man, we covered a lot. We covered a lot of ground, man. I think we covered it all. I mean, what's going next? We talked about. I think we got a lot of ground covered. It's so much more to come, and so many things I'm doing in other spaces as well. But no, I think we covered a lot. We covered a lot.
Yeah, I know there's certain things that we really can't talk about. You know what I mean? Yeah, next couple of ventures, but
Exactly.
like you said before, if there's anything that you need from us, we would definitely be here to help you out. If you live in New York and need some help, hit us up. We outside.
That, bro. I'm gonna be in New York soon, so we definitely need to we need to get up for sure. And I would love to see and hear more about y'all doc that y'all got going on as well, because that's I'm sure y'all story is gonna be crazy as well.
We could definitely send it to you.
Yeah. And if you need anybody to shoot your documentary,
man, for real, I'm all for that.
Yeah, just give us a call. But I feel like throughout this interview that like politics has been like just oozing out of you. Like I feel like it's something you're really passionate about. And we have this is our political insider here.
Oh, nice.
So Chev, our political insider, is the one who educates our audience about politics.
Oh, man, let's go.
We need to go out and vote. And so I just want to be a fly on the wall for this conversation.
Oh, man.
Before we get into that, I just wanted to ask for all the viewers out there, if they wanted to follow your footsteps, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Oh shit, man. Don't. No, I'm just kidding. No. I mean, I think it goes back to what I said earlier about really being focused and putting your blinders on, and whatever your goal is, whether that's, maybe you don't want to be in entertainment, maybe you want to do, whatever, business, whatever you want to do, honestly, it's the same philosophy that applies to everything that you want to do to try to be successful. You have to have your thing that you love and you believe in, and nothing else matters. Like, not that you can't be, empathetic and be a good person in the world, but meaning like you're not going to let anything sway you from that purpose when it comes to what you want to do. Like, that can be, I mean, if I had to give any advice, that's the best advice I can give. Don't let anything, whether it's a bad breakup, whether it's a family saying you can't do it, whether it's your people in your neighborhood saying like you crazy for doing this, like there's nothing you can. We're right now, we're sitting here talking, y'all in New York, I'm in LA. We're talking on a device in real time, and we're interacting, communicating, and building. I'm sure somebody who sat there was like, yo, one day there's going to be a metal box that you're going to talk into, and people will beam you across the world. People like, yo, you nuts as yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have phones that can do more than the fastest computers could do in the 50s or 60s. Like, you can't let nobody tell you that what you're thinking is impossible or what you can't do it. So that if I had any advice to people out there trying to follow, my footsteps, first of all, following your own footsteps. Don't, one of the 48 laws of power is never try to walk in a great man's shoes. Like, not that I'm a great man, but in other words, just don't, you can follow a blueprint, but also at the same time, at some point, you have to start walking in your own path. So find that thing that you love, lock in, and again, just say no to everything that's not that.
Appreciate that, man. That was some great insight. Yeah. We have somebody who's trying to call in. Do you mind if we take a caller to ask you a couple questions?
As long as it ain't, my dad, I'm good. Yeah.
All right, got you.
It's all good.
Go get that shot too. I'm ready for you.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Whenever you're ready.
Can I? I'm gonna leave and go get the shot, and then I'll come back.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Or what? Well, we got the caller now. What's good?
Yo, what's up? You live on 40 Central.
Can you hear him?
Can you hear him?
I can't.
Oh, you can't hear him.
Yeah, we can hear you, but Michael can't hear you. I don't know how we can make that work. Nah.
paraphrase for me.
Write your question in the chat. Write your question in the chat, and
you
we'll
got canceled
post
before
it.
you can get canceled.
We're gonna relay the message for you real quick.
Yeah.
He said, "Did he live in Manhattan?"
You know, he asked.
Noting that you probably lived in Manhattan when you went to NYU. You like Basquiat, right?
I got the shirt, got the painting. Yeah, I'm a Basquiat guy.
What was the full question though?
Can you say the question?
What drove you to Basquiat?
What drove me to Basquiat? Yeah, just an admiration for the art and just what he stands for, as far as being a young black man in the art space in New York and in the 80s, and just the way he thought. You can just tell by the way he put his colors together and the way he the messages that he embedded in his art, that he was thinking differently. And I just, it forces you to look critically at his work. It's like you can't just look at, oh, it's a pretty tree. Like, no, you're looking at, you can see behind me. I don't know how much you can see, but like you're forced to like look into the work and kind of look deeper within yourself. Is like, what are you seeing in it, and why are you seeing certain things in it? And I love abstract art in general. I'm a big fan of abstract, because it gives you, it just gives you I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm the biggest like art connoisseur. I'm not, but I do appreciate any kind of creator that pushes you to think, outside of what's, in the normal spectrum, So that's one of the reasons I have a huge admiration for Basquiat. And he died, so young. It's like, what else could he have contributed? So it's always that mystery and that kind of like, well, what could have been. The same way we think, we talk about Big and Pac, like, well, if they would have lived, and what would have happened if they made this? What kind of, so it's just a lot of mystique and allure to his story and what he, really. I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that I had a Basquiat shirt and the thing in the background. I just really realized, I'm like, oh shit. But
it's funny. It's funny that you said it, because I was actually gonna wear a Basquiat jean jacket that I have.
Wow.
It would have been kind of tacky if we both wore the same thing.
Like, you knew he was coming over with it.
Nah, man. He's obviously on our mind today.
Hold on, just remember, they can't hear you. Nobody can hear you, just us. Yeah. Yeah, that's why we said write it in the chat, because nobody else can hear you. We can't figure it with the oh, yeah. Sorry.
We gotta fix it. I want to hear the people, man. I want to.
Yeah. Oh, the question you asked before in the chat, right? About the homeschooling? I got you. So the question he put earlier was, what is a good way for young parents to join the community of homeschool parents like yours did correctly?
You got to be, because that's so I was homeschooled. It was kind of a hybrid, because I did have classes that I had to go to still. So I still had like bio and chemistry and all that shit that I would go like maybe once or twice a week. But ultimately, the majority of my work was done at home. But you really got to make sure that you're on top of, like, there's somebody there that's watching the child and kind of helping them go through the lessons, because it's very easy to get distracted by, especially today. I mean, I remember during the pandemic when everybody turned into, every kid was homeschooled, during the pandemic. It was I remember having, little cousins and family who were on who had to do all these classes on Zoom, and it was like they would have the Zoom up on one screen and the phone up on the other screen, and
PlayStation on the other screen.
yeah, exactly. And it was very easy to get distracted. So it's weird because obviously we had screens back in my day. It was like I would do my homework and I would go sneak and go play Madden and come back and do my homework. And it's always gonna be things there that's going to distract you. So I guess making sure that there's a structure there, and that there's still, even though it's homeschool, so to speak, there's still some level of structure and accountability, and someone that can make sure that the kid is doing their work and on top of, stay on top of their game. Because especially today, it's so easy to get distracted. It's so, I mean, if you're on Zoom, you can so easily close the screen and go to another screen and
Another
teach in the background, but open another tab and you on Pornhub or something. I don't know. Whoever
say that. I think he said he has one more.
You got another question?
Ooh. Okay. He said after documenting like the Irv Gotti and the rise and the fall and where he's at now of Irv and Murda Inc., how do you have any input on Dame Dash's and Jay-Z's rise and fall of how they handled it? I'm trying to get it all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, because I mean, I think Jay and Dame's thing is very, I think we still probably don't fully know exactly what happened between them. So I would just be speculating to, providing the insight. But I do think that, I will say this, that the Rockefeller story, the Rockefeller record story, is one that definitely needs to be told. And I would love to tell Jay, if you're listening. I would, and I think that it's, people want to know. People want to know because it was such an important. It was such, for me, right? For me, I think I think I probably speak for most of us, is that that era, that late 90s, early 2000s era was so critical to a lot of our development, a lot of, who we are today and the way we think about the world. Seeing the Rockefellers, the Murda Incs., the Bad Boys, the Def Jam and Rough Rock, like all that stuff was so critical that people want to know, like, why did this thing go away? Like, why is Rockefeller why is Dame not right there with Jay at Rock Nation? Why isn't it him and Dame and Big still? Like, what is that? What happened? And I think that's a story that needs to be told, or that people would like to be told, and whether they want to tell it, that's up to them. But I think for sure the Murda Inc. story and telling Irv's story, you definitely see some of you start to see the cracks when you start to dissect the story. You start to see, this is when that started to kind of falter. This is when that started to crumble a little bit. And I'm sure you'll pick up that same thing if you look at the Rockefeller story and any other story from that era. So yeah, I mean, I think it'll be very interesting to tell if we'll ever really hear it. I don't know, but it would be very interesting to learn, whether it's through a doc or whatever, what really happened with Jame and Day. Jay and Dame.
I think it will come out eventually.
Hey, if they listening,
to say that, right?
From your mouth to God's ears. Maybe we'll, maybe talking to the director of the Rockefeller story. I don't know.
Yeah, I might be.
There you
I
go.
might be. We're gonna first of all, we're gonna put that into that existence. We are talking to the Rockefeller director of whatever the hell they want him to do, because he gonna do it. Like, I'm good.
Yes, sir. I'm already working with Rock Nation, so I mean, we already in there. So let's go.
Let's go.
There it is.
Can we talk about Kanye?
Yeah. You talk about. I might not answer, but I'll talk about. Yeah, let's
go. You want to talk about Kanye?
No, bring what you got to bring up.
Man, everybody is basically just disowning him at this point in time, right?
Yeah.
What do you? I guess your general reactions to that at first.
Listen, there's some lines you just don't cross, man. And I understand, I grew, man, I know I got a lot of influences and shit. You hear me talk, I'll be like, this person changed my life. But really, like Kanye, the college dropout, like fundamentally changed the fuck my life. Like it really, I'm not even bullshitting. Like, yes, it was murdering and it got me into the game. And Jay, I learned business and shit through listening to Jay. But when college dropout really helped me see myself as a full, because I was a nerd kid growing up. I wasn't 50 Cent. I was never going to be shooting or selling drugs. Kanye helped me to see, Kanye was actually one of the first artists that I ever heard, especially hip hop artists, ever hear come out and speak out, in support of like LGBTQ folks and people who weren't, it wasn't cool to do, right? He was always speaking up for the folks who were at the bottom or who weren't, being uplifted in the mainstream in the way that they are now. So to hear him say certain things is kind of like, you understand the power of words and what they mean and why, you shouldn't say certain things, why you can't just generalize everything and everybody like that. Being a black man in America, you understand that's wrong to generalize a whole people off of a couple of bad experiences you may have had, right? So that in and of itself, that kind of speech, that kind of conversation is not productive, in my opinion. It's just not. If you want to have a conversation about business and about shady practices and stuff, we can have that conversation. But dragging a whole religion and a whole race of people in there, I just, there's consequences to actions. Every action has a consequence. So if he loses a billionaire status, if he loses an endorsement or whatever, he was given every opportunity to like walk shit back, and he didn't. And again, I think Kanye has a lot of things that he's dealing with, and that's not to excuse anything, but that I look at Kanye like a cousin. I grew up on Kanye, so Kanye, I can't just easily go like, yo, Kanye. I don't believe that Kanye is necessarily like even in control of what he's saying all the time. Like I think he's in a space right now where he's not productive for himself or anybody around him, clearly, because people are losing jobs and money because of the things that he's saying. And I think it's just unfortunate. It's just really just unfortunate for everybody, for even the Jewish community to be. I mean, it's folks out here in LA were throwing signs up saying, yo, Kanye was right. Kanye's right. Like that's not productive at all. That's like, you have a platform and you can speak all matter. You can make people line up across the street and buy shoes or sell out a concert and make people have. I mean, I was talking to one of my friends today who does news, and I was like, yo, why are you talking about Kanye? He's like, I gotta talk about Kanye. Like you can make straight, like the news, like, serious news. He can have so much power to control the narrative, and for him to use that platform like that, his platform like that, is just not productive. And I think the consequences.
But I feel on that situation is that with Kanye, because Kanye was just speaking out. Kanye just he whatever comes to his head, he blabs it out. And I mean, and that is a problem in a sense. But he was talking about like the power that the Jews have and all the control over the media and whatever they have. They control everything, and on TV, anything that you process, you take in, they control that. And for example, you know, they're going crazy about the situation where he stated on Drink Champs, right? And they're going crazy about that whole thing, but they didn't go crazy when he said slavery was a choice, you know, and like they never went crazy about that. So it's just like the Jews happen to have that situation that they control, and they can dictate what happens in your life, and they are stopping everything that happens in his life. But they didn't stop it when he said slavery was a choice. So it's just a hypocrisy in it to me, you know?
I'll say this, and it may be a little bit controversial to say this, but you know, we have, if in Kanye's mind slavery is a choice, well, in our mind as a community, as a hip hop community, as a Black community, brown community, whatever, Kanye is also a choice. You can choose to, like, if the Jewish community and everybody has came out and said this is wrong, this you should not say, because here's the receipts. This is why what you're saying is wrong, and why all that, and they're holding them accountable. We can do the same. If Kanye saying slavery was a choice, which was people did go crazy. I don't think it was it's definitely he didn't lose like no endorsements over it, but
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and but people vote with their dollar. People vote with their voice, with their attention. Black folks, brown folks. If we wasn't fucking what Kanye was saying, stop buying the Yeezys. We can boycott Kanye if we feel that way. When he said the White Lives Matter shit, I was like, yo, what the fuck is he doing? You can be provocative and all this shit, and I get it. Like I don't get it, but if you want attention in that way, cool. But we don't have to continue to. So, and we could have made Kanye lose his billionaire. Not that I don't necessarily think that. I don't want nobody to lose money and shit. Like I'm not for that. But if there was going to be consequences for us feeling the type of way about that, yes, maybe certain communities, have infrastructure set up to where, yeah, you piss off the wrong person. Just like if you piss off, like right now, I mean, listen, the African Americans and Black, brown folk, we don't have, we're not the majority in this business, right? But we are. You see what happens when you have power. You do certain things. When who was it? 21 Savage or whatever got locked up? Jay was making phone calls saying, "Yo, let's see. Here's my lawyer. Here's this." You say certain things. You can't, try to fuck with Desiree or Juan or Jay and them over there. You're gonna feel the consequence, because that's what happens when you piss off the wrong people. There will be consequences. That's just what happens. And again, I'm not saying that I don't think there's certain things that shouldn't be said. And Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter. I mean, the White Lives Matter thing, and slavery was a choice, and all this. I think that it's up to the community and for us as a culture to hold Kanye accountable in the same way that their culture is holding them accountable right now, because that's just the material fact that maybe certain people hold positions and can say no, let's shut this down, but you don't piss off the wrong people.
It's just like the media, they hold narratives for everything. So like if you state something, they can literally switch over your words and make people turn against you. And I feel like that's what they're doing with Kanye with certain things. There's certain things he doesn't articulate properly. I can understand a message he's trying to bring out. Certain things just sound like a little crazy, but it's just like I understand them. It's just like listening to people like from the hood and everything. A lot of people don't know how to articulate properly. So you hear Kanye saying, you could try to break down. Some people get really sensitive. Most people get really sensitive about words now.
Yeah.
So, and Yeah, no, go ahead.
Nah, I mean, listen, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Kanye is billionaire, Adidas, Yeezus, and not Kanye is Kanye. He has amassed a platform, a following that is like, if he says the one thing about hip hop and about artists and entertainers, they do these festivals and they have hundreds of thousands of people out there, and throw your hands in the air, and everybody throwing their hands in the air, turn around, do this. Artists have an incredible amount of power, especially someone like Kanye. He is an icon's icon. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so when he says things, it holds a different weight than somebody just shooting shit at a barbershop. It's like the president of the United States. The president of the United States cannot just get on TV and be like, yo, you know what? I ain't fucking with Putin, man. Bomb them niggas. Like, you can't, you're not doing it. Like, it has consequences. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he might really be saying that behind closed door. He might be telling his people that, like, yo, I just not, wish we just blow these motherfuckers off the whatever, but that's, you cannot get on a public platform and say that, because then it switches a whole bunch of other shit off, and it makes people go, oh, what, you gonna bomb us? We're gonna bomb y'all first. It sets a whole thing. You cannot, like, if you're gonna be, if you want this power, yeah, and I know he's not gonna listen to me because I don't got $1 billion, and he's said that he ain't gonna listen to nobody who got less money than him. But if you got, for anybody out there with a platform, anybody, myself, we all have platforms that people are paying attention. People are writing in, and they're paying attention because they trust us to a certain degree. So, that comes with power, man. I'm not going to use my platform to, misguide people. And if I'm trying to articulate a particular message, and I really feel like this is a really powerful message I'm trying to get across, yo, you got $1 billion. You got a network of people. Go consult with the right people. Yo, how do I say this right? Yo, how do I, how can I frame this in a way that people understand? Come with me, come sit down with me and help. You can't sit on a national platform and just vomit at the mouth. It has consequence. And this is one of the reasons why everybody can't have power, even when it comes to like Trump. People are like, oh, well, Trump was, he was good in this way. Like, but yo, at the end of the day, you talk too much. Like, you can't just say things like that. You can't walk into a movie theater and scream fire. That's called obscenity. That's called being obscene, or being, there's literally laws around that, because you're going to cause people to panic. You're going to cause people reacting a certain way. And so when you say things like that, and you already have a whole group of people who've been out here. I mean, a few years ago, they were out there with tiki torches saying Jews will not replace us and all these crazy conspiracy shit. And then you have somebody like a Ye come out here saying these things, and maybe saying things wrong, maybe not meaning things entirely in a certain way, but saying things very irresponsibly. And now you got people on the 101 or whatever the freeway was out here talking, white supremacists throwing up the Hitler sign and saying Kanye is right about the Jews. Like, that's dangerous. You're putting people you're putting people's lives at risk. Well, I go hiking every day, and where I hike, there's a beautiful Jewish school full of young kids. I don't want to see nothing happen. I don't want some crazy person to be like, yo, yeah, these Jewish people are doing this. Let's go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we got to be careful with the kind of way we have these conversations.
But like it goes back like it's always towards the media. Like, even Malcolm X warned us about that. Malcolm X stated the media will have the guilty innocent and the innocent being guilty. And we don't, like, it's like when things are put into perspective from an opinion and it's not so what you gather directly from that interview or whatever he's stating, that is the real situation. When it comes down to like when it gets brought to the news and down to podcasts and everything, these all become opinions, and then opinions sink into your mind, and then you wind up seeing things from a different light, and that's why I feel like a lot of things are happening too. I'm not stating that everything he said was right.
Right.
I'm not stating everything he said was right, but I can understand a few messages because he's not wrong on a few messages that he stated. It just articulated wrong, and it's like, and we as people coming from down bottom, we know this situation. So he's not stating anything new. These are things that we know. But like you said, it's certain things when you have a platform you can't state in that format. You just have to bring up messages and break it down in pieces for people to take in.
Yeah. I mean, I think, listen, to tie it back into a lesser extent, I don't mean to draw direct parallels between this. So forgive me, Irv, but when Irv went on Drink Champ, when he went on Drink Champs as well, and he said certain things that about Ashanti, again, understanding the times that we live in, understanding why certain things you cannot say. You are a person who has power. Like, you are a record executive who, and I'll be quite candid. I've said this to Irv personally. I mean, this is not something I'm just saying on a platform. I've said this to him before the doc came out, before we ever shot any film footage. I'm like, we gotta be careful with how I understand you can have a private conversation and be like, this is how you feel. But as an executive, you have to be careful with how you frame certain things, because yes, the way the people, like you're saying, sometimes the media and social media and clickbait will take things and skew it in a way that may be taken out of context, but also will be framed in a way that makes people mad and makes people want to be like, people were calling Irv like, Irv the perv, Irv the, because like,
Irv the perv.
Yeah, no, people were saying that on social media because the way he was talking about his relationship and his, his thing with this then young woman. So you have to be careful, even though, again, she just did the interview with Angie and it was, they had a consensual thing, but there's power dynamics at play. There's a whole another layer of shit at play now that we can't, as people on these platforms, just say things, and also we shouldn't do certain things either. We shouldn't mean it either. Like, there shouldn't be these, and some things shouldn't be said at all or thought necessarily. But at the same time, you have to be mindful of the platform that you are in the space that you occupy. You can't, again, I say it again, to use the analogy of a president or anybody who's in charge of a CEO of a large company. You cannot just get up there. I mean, Kanye is a clear example of this. Like, he's the CEO of Yeezy. There's people right now who's not going to be working or who's going to lose a paycheck, his people who work for him, because of things that he said. Like, you just messed up the bag for everybody. You're supposed to be a leader. That's not what leaders do. Like, leaders have to be thoughtful, meticulous. We're not just shooting the shit at the barbershop. We're not just sitting around talking to my uncle and like, yo, man, these people, you know what I mean? Like, we just have to understand our power and our platform, and we can't be perpetuating that kind of stuff when we also are, I don't like to use the word victim, but when we're fighting, we're in that same struggle of fighting against this of white supremacy. We're all fighting against white supremacy. Let's be honest. Like, and so to make those kind of blanket statements, I think bringing it back to Ye, it's just kind of like, I just, again, not, to me, it's not productive, because it's even distracting from the more important conversations that need to be had around artists and ownership and that whole thing. Those conversations really can be had without taking it down into that kind of nasty level, I think.
I mean, I knew that Kanye was trying to get out of he's been trying since the beginning of the year, trying to get out of that Adidas contract. So I feel like, he's been trying to get out of Adidas contract for a little while, and I think this is a way that he can get out of it for free, because that thing was pretty hectic and pretty heavy. But he came out with the whole thing about it on the history of Adidas. I don't know if you looked it up, the history of Adidas, but Adidas that came out like it was in the 30s that it had dropped, and
Nazis,
they were creating clothes for the Nazis and everything, and
for real? I never.
Hitler and everybody, so he was talking about that, and there was reasons why, and that was parts of the reasons why he wanted to be out of Adidas.
Why he signed in the first place?
Huh?
Why did he sign in the first place?
Oh, I guess he didn't know about it. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going through his head, but I know but this is what he was talking about.
Right.
And I had did some research on that too, and I saw that. So that's originally in Germany, and that's
that's wild.
Yeah.
I never knew.
Yeah. So, and they were making clothes for Hitler. So if you say if anybody's anti-Semitic, it would be Adidas.
Right.
Okay.
But
Wow.
Germany has done so much work over the last, since I guess the end of the World War II, to try to make up for their sins, if you will. Like Germany and even companies like Adidas, they've really tried to work to move past that. Which the history is the history, right? I mean, we should never forget about the history and understand understand that context. But it's like everyone's trying to work so hard to move past and beyond that, and just to draw attention to it. It's just bad business. You already out here saying anti-Semitic things or things that people are perceiving as anti-Semitic, and to call and keep it real, Adidas was Adidas was still rocking with him a little bit. I mean, they hadn't dropped him yet, but to go on the thing and bluff him and like, yo, I basically say, I dare you to drop me. I dare, or like they can't drop me. They can't.
Lie. Kanye made the Adidas shit because people weren't rocking Adidas like that. Everybody was rocking Nikes, and then everybody started rocking Adidas after Yeezy.
Yeah.
So
and I think this is a case study, man, and what I was kind of talking about earlier, like our power as a hip hop culture. Like, really, the underlying thing in this is like, yo, if Kanye has that much power, like, I think I seen something where like Adidas stands to lose like $250 million by the end of this year because of their severing their ties with Yeezy. That means that they make over, billions of dollars a year off of this brand. Billions. We're making these companies billions of dollars. We're making, all this commerce move, and like, what else? Like, it's cool to rock Yeezys. It's cool to be dope and to be swaggy and to wear shit, but like, yo, let's take that same energy and put that into really putting people in positions of power. Not just politics, but politics is important as well, because if we want to talk about, look what happened with the court. The court is now a majority conservative court, which is why women have lost their right. A very sacred right that most women had. Just as a human, that right has been taken away because of the fact that people are in positions of power and people have systematically, it's not just women's rights, but also voting rights. They're working to try to take away voting rights for Black folks and shit. So like, we have to look at those things that really are important. It's important to have some cool shoes on your feet. But that same power that Kanye has, if he truly wants to be a leader and truly wants to be this, like, you have to understand the power that you have and use it, man. Like, really, really use it. Like, he brags about not reading and not, but like, man, like, you can't play the game unless you know the rules, man. I can't go into a football field and with a baseball bat. They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, you have to understand the rules of the game that we are playing. We're playing in the game of capitalism, of this American democracy that we, or quote unquote democracy that we live in. We're playing in a very specific game. If we're not aware of the rules of the game, this is what happens. This is why you can't just get on a platform and just say random shit like that. You just can't do that, because this is what happens. The power that you had, yes, somebody else is still in charge of saying, nah, like, they, it's just clear as day. Like, it's clear as day. It's right there in your face. And this is why we have to understand. This is what hopefully I can do, as a storyteller, is try to amplify this as much as I can. That, like, yo, people have to get engaged. You can't just sit on the sidelines and be like, thinking that you're just gonna make it off of, just being a spectator. Like, you have to get and be engaged. If you want to lead, you want to change shit, whether you're a Kanye or you're a Jay or you're somebody who, whatever you're doing, you gotta study the game, get engaged, and actually do the work. Because this is what happens. Like, he may have had a great message. I'm not saying that he did, but he may have had something that he was really trying to say that's completely diluted. Even with the slavery was a choice thing, he actually did not say slavery was a choice. He actually said, 200 years or 300 years of slavery, that sounds like a choice to me. He wasn't, and what he's saying was not that it was a choice. He was not saying that at all. Like, to be clear, I know I'm gonna probably get some slack for saying that, but he actually wasn't saying, if you actually understand the
No, you're
concept.
absolutely right. You're right. He didn't state it that way. I was just stating how the media had proclaimed it to be, and it just wasn't that, you know. But I was stating it from the media's perspective. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He said for slavery for 200, 300 years, that sounds like a choice. They should have fought back years ago, and and that's basically what he was trying to get back at.
Right.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But again, when you understand that, okay, maybe you understand the media and the way it's structured and the way it works. So you know that you can't just you have to be careful of sound bites. You have to be careful of saying the wrong thing, because they're going to take that and rip it apart and go, Kanye West said slavery was a choice, and you're reading it. Then they're actually doing their job right. They didn't say that he said it was a choice, but the way it's framed to the general public, all they're going to see is Kanye said slavery is a choice, and that's what they're running with. Now that becomes the narrative. Now that becomes, So again, he's a smart guy. Like, he's a very smart. All these people are smart. Why do people act like they don't know how the media works? Like, this is how it works. Like, we're gonna do this interview. I'm sure when y'all do the promotion, y'all gonna cut up the best parts. And it's going to be, director says this about Ashanti or this, because that's what's going to get the click. That's what's going to make people pay attention to
the whole thing is the best part.
The whole thing. I agree with that. I'm just saying, but I just know how some of these things work and how they take things and they want to, and that's just because that's just the business. It's just how it works. It's not, it's not even necessarily being, trying to be nefarious. I mean, in some cases it is. Sometimes it is nefarious. They know what they're doing, but it's just a matter. That's just the way the game is played. We live in an era of clickbait, and that's headlines and shit. So Kanye's like a cousin. Kanye's like a cousin that I don't cancel people. I don't believe in canceling anybody. You can't cancel something that you didn't create. Like, I don't, and can you put people on timeout? Can you hold people accountable? Yes, I hold Kanye accountable for things that he said, because he's a grown-ass man who is smart enough to know that regardless of what message he was trying to get across, that wasn't the right thing that wasn't productive, is the best way I can just say that, so that's my stance.
I really like your perspective of it. It was different than what we've heard from a lot of other people.
Thank you, man.
I was gonna say something I forgot.
So I'll just jump in. My only issue, I have two issues with this whole Kanye. First of all, you got to be a genius to be in the spotlight for 2 weeks straight. So for Kanye to figure out how to do that, that's a testament to how smart he actually is. Because in this microwave era, things come and go like that. And we've been having this conversation for now 2 weeks. So he's doing that, phenomenally. But the two issues that I have, the George Floyd comments, I was not a fan of. But more importantly, I felt like his comments on the Jewish community would have been taken much differently if he would have just named the people who are making these calls, that are blocking his opportunities, that are controlling the media. Because like Dame Dash clearly wrote a book called Culture Vultures and told you who are these people that are having this negative impact in our culture. I felt like Kanye had the opportunity to do the same thing, but instead he said, all of them are doing this. All of them are doing that. And then I felt like if that was somebody talking about our community from a different background, I would feel some type of way, because we're not all one monolithic group of people. Absolutely. And I felt that's where he dropped the ball, because the names of the people that you should be talking about, and call it out.
I think Kanye, when he mentioned all of them, is because the Jewish community, they all stick together no matter what. You know what I'm saying? They all watch each other.
But it don't matter though.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, that's how he's viewing it. And
fuck that.
I think that's how he's viewing it. I think he's just viewing it on some that they all stick together and so the whole thing, and that he wants to dig into every single contract for every in every field. He wants to get like to the NBA contracts, NFL contracts. He wants the people to understand what's behind the scenes and everything. I'm saying, like I said, his situation is not articulating properly.
Right,
you know,
right.
and that's his biggest flaw. And I had stated before that, you know, like if he were to practice articulating, I think his message would have been a lot better. You know, and his message would have been a lot better. I understand his situation. I understand because this is not new information.
Right.
All this is not new information. We all come from down bottom. We all know what this is, but it's just a situation that like you said, he's at the top. You know, he's at the top, and all eyes on him. And for him to stay in a certain format can rile people up in the wrong way. About perspectives, what we spoke about before, perspectives.
Mhm.
Everything is about perspectives. How it's how you're feeling that day, and when you see it, you're like, you know what, fuck it, this is what we're gonna do. And look, he has a bunch. Like I seen a picture, the picture we were talking about, that they had like the white supremacy people talking about Kanye was right. You know, like I was like, you see it. This is the perspective. You know, this is perspective.
But then at the end of the day, that's what people are gonna see. That's what people are gonna see. A large group of people are gonna
because
be like, this is what he's meaning.
And because like it's just like that whole conversation that came out from Drink Champs, that put Nori in conversations that nobody even thought Nori would be in. You know what I'm saying? Like people started knowing who Nori is that never knew Nori until that day. You know what I'm saying? So that episode went extremely viral, and it hit places that like nobody thought it would hit.
Right.
So
and it was taken off in like a day.
But how much? And I may have to jump in a minute because my computer is dying, and I don't know what my damn charge.
Yeah, we about to close it up right now too, man. So,
but I will say this. And I'll say it quick because I'm at like 6%. But you know, we got to just make a choice. Kanye has to make a choice. We as a culture need to make a choice. You know, because Kanye with slavery was a choice, right? According to Kanye, right? Well, he made the choice to try to go get in bed with Balenciaga and Adidas, and this Suede literally told him that, yo, man, do your own shit. And he told Suede he ain't had the answers, right? And now he tells Suede he do got the answers. Like he did have it right, but like we as a culture run to these European or non-black entities to try to find validation or a bag or whatever the hell it is, infrastructure, whatever the thing is, right? And then quick to cry foul when something doesn't go quite our way. Well, you're Kanye West. You got the power to, I mean, listen, I'm not, again, I'm not in his pockets. I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but just also recognize there have been people saying over the years, like, yo, Kanye, do your own shit. Do this. You want to build that? You don't need these things. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I get it, but you trying to paint a whole community like this because something didn't go your way. You had this idea that you wanted to have things go a certain way, but you're in their house. Like Adidas is there. Do you think they're gonna? Adidas looks at Kanye's billion and be like, "Ha!" Like that's not like what are you talking about? Like you this small to us. And yes, he's made them hot. Yes, he's made them hot. Absolutely. But why? Why did you make them hot? Why didn't you go and just make your own shit? Why didn't you go and partner up with somebody? You know what I mean? Like I always say, I always say this. People when Jay at first bought Tidal, and like I was trying to tell all my people, all my black, brown, like, yo, go get Tidal, go get Tidal. It's the same amount of Spotify, it's the same amount as Apple Music. Go, and everybody was like, "Hey, what?"
It's a little more expensive. That extra dollar go a long way.
Nah, it's $9.99. I've been paying $9.99 a month for the last.
I see this shit for $11.99. I was like, I'm going to Apple Music,
bro. Don't get that shot before that close. Before your thing, dog. We about to take this. Yeah.
Any more?
Yeah, this more. You want to take one?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll be right there.
All right.
Some of this.
No, I'm gonna take a shot of water.
Listen, everybody, please. Who's watching? Who will watch this after?
Listen, man.
Take some for real.
I'm Rock Nation.
Get the fuck out of here! Oh, you got him taking a shot right now. This is crazy.
You know,
Everybody who, like I said, whoever's watching, who is gonna watch in the future, please go watch the documentary on BET Plus, the Murda Inc. documentary, 5 episodes. You could binge watch that in a day because it was so good. Go follow him on all his social medias and make sure that anything that he comes out with after this and after y'all know who he is, that everybody goes and supports, man. For real, please. We thank
and I appreciate y'all for this amazing, great conversation. It's been like a couple hours, but I've enjoyed every second of it.
It didn't even feel like it's been 2 hours and 50 minutes. It didn't even feel like that.
I didn't feel like it, man. Riveting conversation, man. And y'all all got excellent insights, man. And I respect all of y'all. I appreciate what y'all doing over there. I appreciate y'all for having me on, man. I'll come back anytime.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Eye to eye.
And if like we said before, like if there's anything that that you ever need us to post up, I mean we don't have as big as a following as you do, but we got people that are loyal to us, man. But especially just us in general, we will make sure that we can help you out in any type of way possible. Next time you start
likewise, anything, send it my way, and we good.
Yeah, we're gonna send you our little documentary we did.
Dead ass.
We can talk about it, but we got to get out of here too, man. My man got to go finish up some work. Anything else you got to say before you want to get out of here?
Nah, man. Everybody, just appreciate y'all for tuning in, and go love one each other, man. Like world peace.
Also, if you have a P.O. box, can you send us the P.O. box so we can send you some 40Central apparel over to the West Coast?
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'll send y'all the address, and y'all can please. I'll rock that for sure.
Right. Please, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anything else you want to say to us?
Man, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Really, I really enjoyed this. I've done a lot of interviews this week, but this has probably been my favorite, man. I really appreciate y'all.
Let's go. Right there, go put that shit
up. That's your new tag, man.
we about to make that shit a drop.
Yeah, that's a new drop. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all, man.
Have a good night, man.
God bless y'all. Have a good night.
You too.
One.
We're playing before we get out of here.
Well, you gotta play the record we just directed.
We gotta play the record.
We're gonna play that all week.
Oh,
all week.
Everybody that's still watching, man, we appreciate y'all, man. We love y'all.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all been rocking with us all night. That's a huge. We're gonna play the video that we just finished recording. G, the producer, tell me.
That's what I thought for a second. The Drew Hill shit.
That's how you know that's a classic. You gotta do is say
tell
2 words.
Tell me if it ain't good enough for you, babe.
Here we go. So this was directed by 40Central. Justin and myself went out there. We worked with G, the producer, to record, and G, the producer, did the edits. Made it look dope and all that stuff. So let's close out with this, man. We celebrating. Shout out to Michael J. Payton for being on the show, man. We definitely appreciate you rocking with us for over 2 hours. Yes. And we hope to work with you in the future. This definitely will not be the last conversation that we have together, and we hope to one day work on a project together. Let's go.
Lately I've been feeling things ain't right with you. Like just to make my point, I gotta fight with you. Maybe you been creeping with your side nigga. Maybe my side bitch posted my picture. Tell me what's the vibe with you? I bought a 6-speed 4 whip to ride with you. So are you riding with me? Is it lying to you if you're lying with me? I know it's hella tricky. Whoa. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, I got a lot of bitches waiting to take your place if you ever give it up. Oh. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, when there's a lot of niggas swimming in your DMs and you know they tryna fuck. I feel like I'm addicted to this toxic shit and I need my fix. Got some jet fuel in the crib and Moscato to get you lit. You love languages, acts of service, plus you love them hella gifts. That's why every time that I'm splurging, I know that pussy drips. Look, I gave you the path, I gave you the vision, I gave you the math. Look, I gave you that bag and showed you things you didn't have and might have never. Cause it's not that I was thinking in the short, I was thinking forever. It's not like you ain't know that you were good, I just knew you were better. Better than everything you're portraying. We both want the same things, but we push away and I hate it. And I can't believe the shit that flies out your mouth when you say it. You hurt me, I hurt you right back. This could get dangerous, plus I heard about that nigga. You know who's trying to take my place? The one you posted on your story, but didn't post up on your page. Because stories are temporary. 24, then it's gonna change. And in the words of my man Aubrey, I swear nothing was the same since I seen it. My side bitch don't cook or clean, but with that brain, she a genius. She get this dick all the time, but she still gonna act like she need it. I hope whenever you hear this, you feel this and you steam it. I turn your man to a op with this mop shit, he'll be the cleanest. It's obvious we should say goodbye shit, but we're never leaving. Cause whenever I'm deep inside, should we both get to dreaming? Cause baby, with this D, I stroke your problems away. Could give a fuck what they say. Whoa. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, I got a lot of bitches waiting to take your place if you ever give it up. Oh. So baby, tell me, is this love? Oh, when there's a lot of niggas swimming in your DMs and you know they trying to fuck. Oh. So hard to breathe, they said that we call love. Ain't nothing worse than the hurt you receive from love. When you get hurt by the one you're living for, pain to make you wanna love no more. I just can't be loving you no more. I love you more than I love myself.
Yeah, that was G the producer. Oh, quick question before we get out of here. Monday pod.
Monday pod? What about Monday pod?
It's Halloween. Are we dressing up?
If they have the Frozen suit at Frank B's, I'm not ordering it.
Listen, I got a lot of people want us to dress up. Alpha's texting me every day. We've been figuring out our costumes. Y'all niggas dressing up or not? Because I'm not going to be the only one coming in here dressed up like that.
I told you my stipulation. If they got the Frozen suit at Frank B's.
Nah, but you could be the other shit, though.
Who, from Soul? I was going to do that.
That was easy. You definitely have all those.
Yeah, I could be. All right, so I'll do this. I just need a cat.
A cap?
A cat.
No, there's no cats coming in here.
I get a toy cat.
Oh, all right. I got a cat. I got a toy cat.
Yeah,
I got a cat.
All right, so not going to be Soul.
We could just in case. All right, so we are dressing up on Monday.
He had a saxophone in the movie?
Not walking around.
Oh, okay. All right. But he was a musician, though.
Yeah, I got a guitar.
Oh, so that's perfect.
I don't know, because I might come as a naked cowboy, so I don't know yet.
Oh. All right, well, that just took a turn.
It depends what I feel like doing. I got to see. But Monday, I think we are dressing up. If y'all going to see, y'all see what the hell we do. Thank you, everybody that said it's a great pod. Appreciate it.
Yo, what?
Yeah, that's why I just...
What?
Love y'all. What you guys say before we get out of here? Someday what?
Some days peanuts and some days shells. This episode is full of peanuts.
Pause.
Yo.
Pause.
Oh, man. Thank you for another episode. I'm grateful for another episode. I'm praying for another episode next week. Again, shout out to our guest, Michael J. Payton. You can follow him at C Sweet Music. I'm going to put it in the chat right now so we get him. Hit him up. And then the thing about on the pod. If you're a fan of 40Central, if you're a supporter of 40Central, definitely just hit him up. Yo, I appreciate you coming through, showing love to the program and what we're doing. Definitely hit him up at C Sweet Music on Instagram and on Twitter. Also, shout out to Mercedes Johnson.
Yes.
Because of her, we were able to make that connection for this. So shout out to Mercedes Johnson for that connection. We hope that we could bring many more great people onto the pod to help entertain us, to educate us, to have these productive conversations. Shout out to just the guys here at 40 Central for just giving it their all every week. despite whatever's going on, just coming on the show and giving our best. You know, definitely doesn't go unnoticed. Shout out to those who aren't here: Brandi, Warren, Zay, who else? Corey, Emmanuel, so many other
Beauty,
people.
aka Raquel,
Beauty, Alpha, so many people that just have been a part of the 40 Central team that has been helping us get to points like this where we have these milestone interviews that are going to take us to another level. So shout out to everybody, and shout out to everybody who's a patron. If you're on Patreon, shout out to you. Special shout out to you. If you want to become a patron, we may start doing these interviews on Patreon only for you sorry people that don't want to become patrons.
This was definitely a Patreon episode.
Nah, I think when we get them in person.
Ooh.
That's a Patreon episode right there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's a Patreon episode right there.
We didn't say Emmanuel. We said the.
Yeah, the Emmanuel. I feel like we're still forgetting somebody.
Zay.
Warren. Says Zay. Said Warren.
That's right here. You didn't say Kev, because Kev's here. That's why.
Okay. Roxy, too.
Oh, Roxy, too.
That's what I was forgetting. Roxy. Shout out to Roxy. She was definitely rocking with us for a minute. And yeah, so anybody who's been a part of this journey, man, and anybody who's been in the comments, anybody who's ever been a guest, we definitely appreciate every single comment, every single like, subscription, share, call in, pep talk, advice. If you contribute to this show, we appreciate you. Thank you.
That was good. What the fuck am I supposed to say after that?
What you usually say.
Bye.